Great Friday, everybody. How's it going? Welcome back. It's your midday hang, Annie and Elsten, ready to wrap up our work week and fire you off into the big sports weekend that will be. We are all together in our Odyssey studios. Annie Heilbrunn is here. I'm Craig Elsten. I'm here. Braden Soprenet here as well. We are in our Odyssey studios overlooking sunny Murphy Canyon, ready for 4 hours of live local San Diego sports talk radio, handing it off to a newly refurbished Chris Ello and Matt Scraby.
Hopefully he's feeling better.
At 2 o'clock today, that's when we will be sliding down the back of the dinosaur. Yeah, I hope he's feeling better, right? How are you feeling?
Or it could be Sammy and Scraby again.
Hey, let's find out if the cortisone took. Yes. Did you hear that yesterday? I was listening on the way home.
Yes, but then I heard Sammy and Scraby, who did a great job. I was listening for a little while when I could in the car. And it was like, then Scraby was saying it maybe wasn't a cortisone shot. It was because they were trying to figure out if the shot went in through the throat or like in the front of the throat.
But then did you hear where it actually went, according to an LO text?
Oh, no, I didn't hear this. No.
2 shots. One in the left cheek, one in the right. And I don't mean on your face.
No, brutal.
I would rather... Okay,
and his posterior.
I would rather have it there than in my
throat.
Right.
Yes.
Well, yes. That sounds
more padding.
Horrific.
Right.
Super pause on that whole conversation.
Yeah. So I don't know how the cortisone knows where to go.
Right, how does it travel to the throat?
I thought that was for muscles and stuff.
I thought it was an inflammation thing. Maybe it just lowers the inflammation throughout your body.
Maybe throughout the whole body.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
I'm not sure.
It almost kind of has to, right?
I think.
Can you put a little message in the cortisone?
Yeah.
You're like, this time you go to the throat. So, for everyone who always thought that Chris was talking out of his nether regions, maybe proof. Maybe proof positive.
You'll find out today.
Maybe proof positive, because that's where the shots went, so to speak. Okay, Adam in the chat says, Ello sounds great. So he'll be back
all
today.
you needed is 2 shots in your
couple
butt
slaps
cheeks.
on the ass.
Right, and all of a sudden your throat is cured.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So I think that's a modern marvel of medicine sort of thing.
Okay.
I'm
not sure what that means.
Don't
but
excite too many broadcasters there, Annie.
So strange. So strange.
I'm glad he's feeling better.
I'm glad he's feeling better too. Yeah, it would have been tough on Sammy, who has to fly out to Dallas.
Yes.
To have to stick in for 4 more hours today. Regardless, here's what we got going on. It's a Friday, end of the week. We got our good news segments all set. We've got what's become one of our most popular winter features ready to fire. Should be a good show for you. Coming up at 10:35, Braden's football segment. NFL Week 14 preview. One game in the rearview mirror. We'll talk about it.
Our Lions.
In just a second.
Yes.
Our beloved Lions.
Our Riverboat Lions.
Our crazy-ass Lions.
They're crazy.
They are just crazy nuts, and that's why I love them so.
I love Dan Campbell.
Me
He's
too.
Great.
I can't help but love him. He's
never met a 4th down that he doesn't like.
We'll talk about it in a second, but a lot of people are going crazy. Like, I get it. I get it. It's just it's a mentality. Nonetheless, we'll do that. 10:35. We'll preview all the rest of Week 14 in the NFL. Coming up at 11, it's been one of our best reviewed off-season segments. It's a Friday. That means it's time for Best of once again. Best of Padres 2024. We've been slicing off tranches of the season and going through each one of them, usually 15, 20 game stretches. And I knew this was going to happen when we started, Annie. I knew it, because I remembered the course of the season. The whole thing is built on the premise of there were so many exciting, good, top of class, the ones that you remember, the ones that you put on the top shelf types of games this year. Way more than any 93-win season deserved to have, honestly. Very few pedestrian stretches. And it's crazy going back and looking at the team when it was below 500, when it was at 500, just over and over and over again, how many times they came up with signature wins, not just wins, but like crazy meaningful wins.
Right.
So we'll get into another quartet of crazy meaningful wins in the 11 a.m. hour, and you get to hear Jesse and Tony's highlights and kind of have that dopamine hit of remembering these great games and these moments that made you so excited earlier in the spring, which is where we still are right now, covering the end of April and the start of May. So we'll get into that in Best of Padres 2024. That'll be pretty much the 11 a.m. hour is memory time. Okay, 12 o'clock, unless something happens, unless Juan Soto signs or the Padres make a big trade or something, right?
You'll know because they won't be reviewing the 1978 season for no reason.
Well, at least
Yeah,
the ticker
exactly.
at the bottom might get updated.
Who knows?
At the bottom of MLB Network. Supposedly, I hear all the national people saying it. Hey, about to go crazy. December's about to go crazy. Moves, trades, signings. We just...
Well, is it like in Caddyshack? Well,
Just waiting, I guess.
we're waiting.
Yeah. I don't know if they mean this December, next December. Some December is going to go nuts, they say. We'll see.
Signed a bunch of minor league guys. Is that the?
Well, the Angels have just gone nuts.
That's right. Yeah.
And the
It's
A's.
getting
The
crazy.
Angels and the A's.
It's getting crazy
So-
in California.
Yeah, everyone but us. Come
That's
on.
right.
Well,
Well,
let's
the
get into the
Giants.
game. Yeah, let's
At least
get into the game.
I guess the Giants fired Farhan. I guess.
Yeah, they did something. 12 o'clock, of course, we'll bring you the 12 o'clock Sports Fix. It'll be the weekend preview edition, so you get all of the important games that you might want to follow over the course of tonight and the next 2 days. Coming up a little later in the show, we'll hear from John once again from KSON and find out how the tail end of the St. Jude's radiothon is going. Really, really great stuff we heard from John yesterday, so we'll check in with him. John hasn't left. Tammy hasn't left.
No. They've been here all night.
Yeah, since 6 yesterday morning.
Right.
They've been here, and they're going to be here till 7 o'clock tonight.
Like literally spent the night.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
They're completely nuts. At least they didn't stay up the entire time, right? They had some sleepy
where-
shifts.
where did
Flint
they- where
took a
did they
2-hour
stay?
nap. He said.
Where?
I mean that couch,
I
right?
guess.
You could maybe use the entire sales area. It's generally unoccupied.
That's right. There's not a lot of people here.
I can't sleep like in public.
Well, if you're in the sales area, no one's ever there, so it's
Yes,
but
basically like an
still.
empty room.
It's basically empty anyway.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's probably how I'd handle it.
I'm
if I
sure
was
he
him.
passed out. We'll ask him,
Yeah.
but my guess is
There's got to be a
close
couch
his
somewhere,
eyes,
right? Isn't
fell
there a couch
asleep.
somewhere in here?
Well, the one that you sit on every day.
Well, right there, then.
There's that
There it
couch.
is. Maybe he just crashed right there.
There's another room over there too that's got like a fridge. There's a couple rooms in here that are like hidden that have a couch and other stuff.
Awesome. 12:40, our final chance to qualify for the 2-night stay at Westgate is Anybody Knows. So it'll be a fun game. It'll be a silly game. But for all the people in the previous 4 weeks who have qualified, they're like all like tiny little angels on Annie's shoulder today saying, win one for us, Annie.
Oh.
Don't let us just fight for it. Don't add another person to the pod.
But then I have a devil on the other shoulder.
You should
Yes.
just let this cat win on the air.
That's
Why not
right.
more? More is merrier, huh? That's what
great.
I always say.
Let's create the chaos.
No, we want to do it
They're
ourselves.
so cute.
So Anybody Knows is coming up. 1 o'clock hour, Crossing Streams with Media Melanie. Couple more streaming television recommendations for you. We're getting close to our top 10 reveal. It's just a couple weeks away for the
Yes.
best 10 shows of the year. So
Looking forward to hearing Melanie's recommendations. And you have one
I've
that
got
you
a
were talking
good
about
one.
yesterday?
Yeah, I've got one that I'll tell you right now is going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year.
Aha.
It probably will be in my top 5. It probably will be in my top 5. That's how good I think it is, and that's how much I've enjoyed it, watching it the last 3 days. Like, truly enjoyed the show. That's something for me, because, a lot of times, there's sometimes it's challenging or it's suspenseful or it's scary or whatever. Like, no, I've just truly enjoyed this show. So, anyways, that's a ways away. That's at 1:20. We'll wrap up with Ask Us Anything. That's the show layout for today.
You scared me a little with the breaking news. So I went and looked at Jeff Passan just to make sure
Yeah,
that
nothing?
we hadn't missed. Well, he did just put out a tweet.
Oh.
Yesterday. Sorry. Did you see this one yesterday? The highest spending teams in free agency so far.
I did see that yesterday.
Oh, it's the Dodgers?
Would you like me to go run through it very quickly?
Dodgers, Angels.
I think the A's
Dodgers,
are on there.
182 million. This is so far this winter.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
this
Blake.
means nothing.
Yeah,
right.
that's Blake.
Angels, 80.3 million.
Hilarious.
A's, 68.8 million.
Great.
That's Luis Severino and like one guy that they signed for $1 million, you know?
I think
Like
that's
500.
yeah, exactly. No, that's all the minor league contracts they handed
Yeah.
out total.
Royals, 51 million. Mets $34 million, and leading out the bottom, Cubs $29 million,
Yep.
and then he says another $3 billion or so expected to be guaranteed this winter. $3 billion, according to their projections. So we'll see when
Charisma.
that.
Breaking news in the chat right now, Annie says Danny Jansen and the Rays.
Oh,
Wow.
1 year, $8.5 million.
another catcher off the board.
Another reminder that we're not going to play in that market. And we never were. When Higashioka signed, the number one name that everyone was throwing in the chat and elsewhere was like, well, we could maybe go get Danny Jansen. Danny Jansen just got more than Higashioka.
$8.5 million, yes.
He was never going to happen.
1 year, $8.5 million.
Yeah. Surprised. He's just okay. Danny Jansen is an okay catcher.
Robert Murray writes, Jansen had multi-year offers, but chose to bet on himself coming off a down season and goes to a place where he will get consistent playing time. So not a bad deal for a 1 year contract, right? Just okay. Had a down season last year,
He's going to play at a minor league park all year.
and so then is going to try to leverage that for a better contract after next year. But yeah, the rates are up.
Last two signs playing at minor league parks.
Yep. Hey, as Tyler just said in the chat, you might enjoy Best of once again because there will be Luis Camposano hits
Oh,
in Best of once again. We do forget that for 2 decent months, Luis Camposano hit. Like he drove in runs, he hit homers. He seemed like a bottom-of-the-order weapon that lengthened the lineup. And, yeah, he was a little iffy defensively, but, that bat was going to carry the day. And then the bat stopped going, and then didn't he get hurt for a little while, too? He got hurt for a little while.
Had the thumb.
Higgy steps in, bang, 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 hits a bunch of homers in a row, right? Gets like 5 homers in a hurry. Campy came back and couldn't hit, and then couldn't catch.
It is the most frustrating part of Luis Camposano. He's a good player. I mean, he has these flashes of brilliance. It's why the front office has a hard time, or has, I don't know what their thought is on him this year, but in the past, wants to let him, what they hope, grow into the player that they considered him to be when they drafted, or when they signed him, right? They drafted him. It just needs to be longer. It needs to be more consistent. And he has an injury history, it seems like, most years, right? I think Luis Camposano, I could see where he's a late bloomer and he ends up being a really good player or has a really good year. You just don't know if that's going to be this year or it's going to be 5 years from now.
Yeah. Or if it just never comes together.
Yeah, but I mean, he can do it. I think he started tweaking his stance last year.
Yeah.
And then that threw him off. And then the confidence. And that's always been an issue, right? Like, where's he at with confidence? Where's he at with his stance? I think he stopped going to the open stance a little, or maybe I can't remember what it is
he
now.
started to close it off. Like in this offseason, we've seen that.
Right.
But for the longest time, Samurai Warrior stance up there didn't work out.
I mean, he's what, 25? Is it?
Yeah, he's 25.
So it's not like he doesn't have room for. He's 26. Just turned 26 in September.
There you go.
So he'll be 26 through the 2025 season. So it's not like he doesn't have potential, and I think that is what you're hoping for with Luis. That potential just ends up coming to fruition.
Yeah, well, we better hope so, because we're not going to sign the next most expensive free agent catcher either. And we went through this list the other day when Higgy signed. It's a who's that of 34-year-old, has-beens and maybe could-be's and general backups. If Tucker Barnhart suits your fancy, if you'd like a Yasmani Grandal reunion at 36, to hit 190 but walk some and hit a couple homers at the bottom of the lineup. Care for Gary Sanchez will be more expensive than these guys.
Yeah.
Probably. If Danny Jansen's getting $8.5 million, Gary Sanchez will get $8 million for sure. So forget him. Elias Diaz, Carson Kelly, Martin Maldonado coming off a -2 WAR season. He'd still like to play. None of it's exciting. None of it's attractive, but I am going to give AJ the credit that for 4 years in a row, he's identified somebody out there, Caratini, Alfaro, Sanchez. Remember, Sanchez got cut by the Mets in 2023. Straight up cut, right? And we're like, okay, we'll take you. And then last year, Higashioka, he's found these guys. Right. And I still think he's going to
has.
find a guy that's not on that free agent list. I still think he's going to find somebody on someone else's roster.
Maybe he already has someone in mind, and but yeah, he has. He's been able to do that, and it's worked out. It's worked out for the Padres.
It has. When we come back after this quick timeout, we're underway here on Annie and Elsten. Our beloved Lions pull out a crazy win and give us another reason why adopting this team turned out to be a really good call.
It did.
Really good call. Plus, my dog is just nuts. My dog showed his true colors yesterday.
Wow.
I mean, it's fawn and black. He's a pug. Those are his true colors. But
I think your dog just likes to mess with you.
oh yeah, he does. Like literally, he does.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that too. We're rolling till 2:00. Annie and Elsten here for a fun Friday with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:21 is the time on the Fan, and we are psyched to have you here with us on this lovely Friday morning in San Diego. It's December. Things are crisp in the mornings now.
Supposed to be 80 degrees today in East County.
Seriously?
I think it's like 78, 80.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's just wild. But in the morning, it's see your breath.
It's cold.
Walking around. And should be a great weekend. We'll cover it all for you, get all your bases covered as we continue here forward this morning and into the afternoon here on Annie and Elsten. Last night, Thursday night football, could have started the show here. We'll start the second segment here. Our beloved Lions, the team that made it out of a 32-team battle royale.
Now I'm like, how could we ever pick any other team?
Right?
There was a time when I think Braden wanted
The Texans. The Texans were high
No.
on his list.
You didn't want the Bears?
I didn't want the Bears. I wanted the
Yes.
Lions,
Well,
though.
you were
I had
smart.
to
I
wanted the
convince
Bears.
everybody of the Lions after I didn't get, the Texans.
Yeah. You wanted Texans.
The Lions aren't just like, the Chiefs. I've always been, after the Chargers left, I've always been Team Chiefs. But the Lions have even a cooler identity than the Chiefs.
They do.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And last night, taking on Green Bay, it was a little bit of a different game for the Detroit Lions. They've been at many times this season a dominant team. And when they get off to a good start, they just get on a roll, and it's a snowball rolling downhill. And the next thing you know, it's 42-9 or something like that. We've seen a lot of Lions games like that. I thought last night's game was going to be like that. The Lions jumped out 10-0. They jumped out 17-7. At that point, I think I went to walk the dog or get dinner or something. I forget. And then I was like, oh, yeah. When it got to the point where I would turn on the TV in the living room because I was watching on my laptop, I was like, oh, yeah, the Lions game is still on. Hang on. Let's go take a look, see how bad they're blowing them out. And it was, 28-28. I'm like, oh, hang on. Green Bay, good. Josh Jacobs last night, great. Running it down the Lions' throat. Detroit's interior line, not really locking it down last night. Pretty vulnerable game. And while the Lions were still putting up points, it didn't really feel, Annie, like they could stop Green Bay all that much.
No, I thought this was a good football game. This was two good teams in a good football game, the kind that you want to watch. You know what I mean? Like just two good teams battling it out. Gutsy win for the Lions. Jared Goff, 13 straight passes in the fourth quarter. And then they could have kicked that field goal earlier, but they wanted to wait it out, right? And they could have done it with 43 seconds remaining. So you see that identity of Dan Campbell going forward on fourth down. The defense, I thought, for the Lions, they're banged up too.
Right.
Maybe not as tight as we have typically seen, but still, that's a good team with the Packers. So, two good teams battling like that, you expect it to go back and forth a little bit.
Well, Lions fan Jake in the chat notes, the Lions have 13. That's a whole team plus two more. 13 defensive players on the injured reserve. And also they lost two starters, including one of their best defenders in the secondary, Brian Branch, in the second half. So you get to that moment, right?
Yeah. And the Packers are good too.
Really good. Really good. And the thing is, I do remember, as a 52-year-old who's watched football my whole life, how the decision Dan Campbell made at the end of the game last night would have been received in previous years, in previous decades. In fact, I remember, maybe you guys remember, when Bill Belichick, when the Patriots were in Indianapolis playing Peyton, one of those classic Brady Manning games, they went for it on a fourth down at like their 35-yard line and missed. And Indy got it back and won. And like it was a albatross hung over Bill Belichick's neck forever. Like for years. People were like, remember when he went for it in fourth down his own side of the field? That nut. Campbell did that in the first half and missed going for it from his own 30. But the thing about Dan Campbell that you have to love if you're watching the team and you don't hate the Lions is that he only plays one way. He only coaches one way, and that's to win. That's to get the W. And he does not think about the loss. He just does not take the negative review thought of, well, if this doesn't work, then what's going to happen? What might go wrong for my team? Dan Campbell knew his defense was probably not going to stop Green Bay. And while you may say, well, there's that negative space thinking that you're talking about. No, he had the game where he could win it, which was his offense. And he figured the odds of them converting with David Montgomery on another 3/4 of a yard on 4th down versus the chance of missed field goal percentage plus the odds that Love just leads them down the field, that this was the higher percentage play. So you obviously just do the higher percentage play. Something that would have, like Coach Landry on the Dallas sideline, like his hat would have flown off his head if a decision like that was made. But in the moment, I was like, I get the Lions' logic. They're just going to convert this here, and then they're going to leech the clock, and they're going to kick with 2 seconds. And they did, and they won.
And if you lose, right, are you sitting here talking about, well, should they have done it that way? Should they have done it a different way? But that's the risk you take. I mean, that's the thing about Dan Campbell is he's built that as their identity. Those players don't even think twice about it anymore.
Right.
They know this is what we're doing. Our coach is a little nuts. We love it. We're going out there. We're trying to win a football game. And when it's a divisional game and it's a good team like that with the Packers and you're trying to just, like you said, you're trying to just get the ball last and get the win, right? Or at least give the best chance for your team. So yeah, I mean, it was a fun game to watch. It came down to the wire there at the end. But for Dan Campbell, it's not going to work every time. But to me, in my opinion, I don't know what you guys think. I'd love to hear it. In my opinion, if that's your identity and you've subscribed to it, it doesn't bother me when it doesn't work because it's your, I mean, as long as you're using it logically, right? Like, I mean, as long as it's something that you've obviously put thoughtfulness into, how are we going to work those 4th downs? How are we going to be risky but yet not throw the game away? Which is what he's done. So it's not going to work every time, but you'll live and die with that.
I completely agree, and I think it's just a sign of the change in the NFL. And, listen, the NFL is in the weirdest way because in so many ways it's the least progressive league, but on the field it's the most progressive league. I mean, it really is. They change the rules all the time. They change basic concepts all the time. And now the idea of going for it on 4th and short is normalized. Yeah. It's been completely normalized. Dan Campbell's one of the people who has helped with that normalization. And, to answer your question, if they had failed to get it, and they almost did, Jared Goff got his foot stepped on. He fell over and somehow got the ball into Montgomery's hands. Like, that could have just been disaster right there. And then he just falls over, and the ball's at the 34-yard line, right? Well, if it was, Love would have had about the same distance to go that he would have if they had kicked the field goal and kicked off to him. So it really does make sense logically. But if that had happened and they had lost, Campbell would have been like, yeah, well, we played to win and it didn't work. Yeah. And how could you ever argue with that? He's playing to he's doing the Coach Edwards. He's playing to win the game, but he really is. He's never playing to not lose the game. And most coaches will play to not lose the game. He plays to win.
Sometimes I think he doesn't overthink it, which is good. Like he goes at it like a player. He goes at it like, well, we're just going to be aggressive and we're going to do what we need to do on this field instead of, well, what necessarily everything says and what is, what are all the pros and cons and all this. Like, I think that he just trusts his players and he trusts in their strategy, and it's like go time. Once the quarter starts, it's go time, and that's kind of where they're at. Braden, do you have a problem with all the 4th downs?
Well, I mean, eventually it's going to bite them. I mean, it's just.
I guess if you're in a big playoff game, right? And
well, I mean, the thing with the 4th down, like going for it on 4th down, I mean, the magical analytics. It's just like baseball with the analytics of when I should take a pitcher out and when we should do this and how I should, set the order. And a lot of that does come from upper management too. I mean, they all know all the numbers. They talk with their analytics guys, but it's like Craig brought up with the Bill Belichick thing. If it doesn't work out, you're an idiot. If it works, you're the smartest guy in the room. I mean, that's just kind of how this works in making decisions, right? I mean, if they would have not gotten it and then the Packers go down and score and win, all of a sudden he's a fool for going for it on 4th down when he could have kicked the field goal to ice the game. The game is over. So as much as it is like praise, I mean, he's going to get a lot of negativity too when those 4th downs don't work. And, it's going to happen. I mean, you're not going to get every single 4th down that you go for. And I do like the way that he is aggressive and doesn't care and goes, we're going to get after it. I mean, that's all fun and that's great for a head coach because you get the guys buy into that, right? They believe in that and they work on that. They practice we're going to go take it right now kind of attitude.
Right.
When you have that confidence, it's very hard to stop.
fun stuff. And our beloved Lions, man, they're a gas to watch.
I mean, now I want to see them in the Super Bowl.
Oh, me too. Me too.
We just
There's
can't
so
have them
much that
Seattle
can-
Mariner this.
What?
I said we just can't have them Seattle Mariner this.
Yes. Well,
They're
and
just there's so much, right? That Sonic and Knuckles in the backcourt and
Yeah.
St. Brown and how Goff is just like Mr. 90%. He's like modern Phil Simms. He's just completing every pass.
I mean, if I was Jared Goff, I'd be so happy that I ended up back there. To me, he ended up in a really good position.
He did.
I got the Bills next week
Woo-wee!
in Detroit. Should be fun.
Yeah.
Is that flex to Sunday night? I mean,
It's a 125 game.
that's got to be
currently.
the game of the. It's one of the games of the year.
It's got to be, right?
It would be the current 1v1 seed chalk Super Bowl preview, right?
They flex them this late, right? They're waiting.
Oh yeah, they could.
Your current Sunday night game that week is Packers Seahawks. I would much rather watch Bills Lions.
Heck yeah, everyone would.
You have two Monday
Wait,
night
who- it's
games next
who-
week too.
Packers, Seahawks. Who'd you say?
Packers Seahawks.
You know, two good
Oh,
teams,
yeah.
a division
I'd rather
leader.
watch Lions, Bills
Yeah.
too. Right.
Yeah, I mean, those are two winning teams, two playoff teams, and a potential division winner, but there's no question which is the better game. That's one of the games of the year. Arguably, it is the regular season game of the year.
Yeah.
Two Monday night games next week.
Really? Again?
Are we done with the? I thought we were done with the two Monday night games at this point in the season.
Well, it's something we can figure out in another edition of Braden's football segment, but we've got the Week 14 edition of Braden's football segment right after this break. So let's take that break and get right to it. Annie and Elsten Friday edition. San Diego's #1 sports station is 97.3 The Fan. 10:39 on the Fan. It's great to have you with us on Annie and Elsten. Oh, I didn't open up the liners. Hang on a second. You've probably got something for me to read here.
It's probably the same thing you've been reading at 10:40 every day for the last 8 months.
It probably is. In
I'm
which
surprised.
case, I should be able to tell you that this
Yes.
hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football. Okay, it hasn't loaded yet. How far could I get?
Well,
Oh, shoot.
baseball coverage is what you're
Darn
looking
it.
for.
11:35.
I said 8 months, not 3 months.
Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com. Get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro.
You know, you could probably start the show with that.
Yeah, pretty much.
You probably could every day. Just check it off.
I mean, baseball coverage will be in about 20 minutes when we do Padres Best Of and get you into some of the great games from earlier this spring for the San Diego Padres. Question as we get into Braden's football segment here. How much have you ever spent to go to a concert?
Not a lot.
Oh boy, maybe
Whatever
a
I
few
put.
$100s a ticket. Not a ton. Well, is that a lot? I don't know. I haven't been to a concert in so long.
seems like a lot, right?
Oh, you know what
We did Elton John, me and my sister a while back, and Billy
300.
Joel.
300?
Yeah.
That's what I came to, 300, but it was actually more of a deal than what everybody around us was in. That we went to the Morgan Wallen concert, and when tickets went on sale, season ticket holders could buy, and they were offering like suites and stuff like that. It ended up being like $300 a ticket to get a suite, and so my family and another family and one other family, they were like, all right, let's split it. And so it was $300 a seat. Like, oh, that's pretty steep, but everybody loved Morgan Wallen, right? From a music standpoint. And so they bought it, and then tickets went on sale, and the tickets in front of the suite were $600. It was $300 cheaper to be in a suite than it was to sit outside of the suite.
Well, that's wild.
And I was like, wow, what a steal. We actually got a good deal on this.
No kidding.
But $300 would probably be the max I've ever spent on a concert. I don't go to a lot of concerts. I go to sporting events.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I don't go to a ton of concerts either, but I do like to go if
What's our price tag here?
the right thing presents. So I was just looking because I was, just scanning Blue Sky during the break, looking for anything going on, and I saw somebody post, "Hey, I just got my concert tickets to Kendrick Lamar and SZA." And it said like, "Oh, they're going fast, but I'm going to get them for my birthday weekend." It was this person, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Now I know this concert is happening. I should have known that, seeing as he just dropped the album GNX, that Kendrick would be touring, right? And that seeing as SZA's, not only on a couple of his songs on that album, but other songs that they've collaborated on over the years, that they would go together. So this all makes sense." And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me look it up. And sure enough, Kendrick is playing SoFi toward the end of May next year, 3 dates.
Okay.
And I looked at the first one, which was a Wednesday night, and I asked Braden, hey, take a look at, because he's got the Padres 2025 schedule over there. I said, take a look at the next day, May 22nd. Could that possibly be, because it's a Thursday, right? I'm like, could that possibly be a day where the Padres were on the road playing a day game and we would be off? Oh. Turns out, yes. It's day 3 of a Toronto road trip.
Which
Your
means it's
concert dreams are coming true.
Is that it's going to be like a 10:07 start
It's
time?
going to be a 10:07 start. We're not going to have a show. And they can't rain
What day
out.
is this?
Thursday, May 22nd.
I'm going to Italy after that. So.
Right. And they can't rain out because they've got a roof.
That's right. It's an advantage of having a roof.
Yeah. So I'm like, I think I can buy tickets to this concert and safely book that, knowing that I wouldn't even have to miss a show because the next day we'd be off.
He's going to hit click, and there's going to be like, the roof is going to malfunction like 2 months from now. Like, we can't fix
I
it.
think the rain still comes in
a
like
rare
the sides.
late May
It's gonna be, like, in the
snowstorm.
You know, like
seats
in
that gets it.
Arizona they can't move their roof anymore unless they hand crank it. So if it gets stuck, it would get stuck. Knowing our luck, it'd get stuck.
Yeah.
It'd be raining in the building.
Well, I'm not going to think of crazy like that. I'm no anti-Dan Campbell. I'm thinking Dan Campbell, how to win the moment.
Even if there is a rain delay in a roofed place, Sam Levitt's going to carry the rain
Sam's
delay
That's right,
coverage
yeah.
anyway.
Right. Sammy's going to be on the hook instead of me,
Yeah,
right?
So
I'm looking, and, if I wanted to get down on the floor near the stage, I could. There's tickets in the 3,000 range and $900, so on. But if you get back in the stands, I see one, pretty much looking at the stage from not completely the back, $485 each. Would you be willing to go $500? I'm not saying like, should we go to the concert, but I'm just saying if it was a different concert or a concert you wanted to go to.
If I really wanted to go, I'd be willing to go 500.
500, right? I don't think it's that bad.
No.
It's kind of a once in a lifetime thing.
It's if you really want to see the artist.
Yeah.
And you're, then it's.
Unlike a sporting event,
right.
Kendrick is unlikely to lose that night.
If the concert gets canceled, I think you get your money back.
Yeah, I'm guessing he'll win and put on a really good show. And those kind of shows are the things you remember the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to a concert in a while, but everyone that I go to, I really haven't been to a bad concert.
Right?
They're always fun. Right?
True.
Now I'm thinking, would James, who is, I was just telling Braden during the segment, you were out, like, he's starting to get into music in some ways. Like, he'll carry around my iPad, and he's ruined my Spotify channel with a bunch of songs he's heard on Fortnite or whatever. But like
songs on Fortnite?
Yeah, there's songs on
What?
Fortnite.
There's music on there.
Snoop Dogg had a concert last week on Fortnite. Real talk.
Oh, no,
Real talk.
that doesn't surprise me because I could see that is how they're selling that stuff now. Like they're engaging kids or any kind of audience that way.
They had a live event inside
He
the
probably
game.
got paid well for that.
Oh, absolutely, because you can buy Snoop Dogg skins now. You can be Snoop Dogg in the game. Yeah. So
What a world, man.
Yeah, they have concerts inside video games now.
How much were the tickets to watch Snoop Dogg?
Nothing. You just had to show up for the live event. It was just something like on YouTube you could watch. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. I just had to be able to be in in Fortnite, I guess. But yeah, so now I'm wondering if I could convince my wife to take James out of school that day, the next day, right? And have him come up with me. And that could be like the first big concert he went to.
That's the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend anyway.
There you go.
It's not like they're
I think this
doing
is a good
anything in
plan.
class.
Right. And I mean, it's like stuff, like you just said, it's stuff you remember. You got to skip school sometimes.
He's
for
in
these
8th
cool
grade, right?
things.
Yeah.
And so it's May in 8th grade. He's going to be almost done. He's going to have like a week
Yeah, it's
left.
basically going to be toast anyway, right?
Yeah, as long as there's not like a
big
final
senior
or
day
whatever,
thing or a
or a
student
test
council
or something. That's usually
whatever.
around when's he get out of school?
2:30.
No, I mean like the calendar.
Oh,
year.
I don't
I mean,
even
you're
know.
close to like getting out of
Yeah,
school.
he could
that
almost be
weekend.
done by then.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
even know. I don't even know. Well, I'm going to figure that out, and I'm going to run it by the wife here.
I think it's working out even better.
Before
you
the
might
tickets
even,
run out.
It's not even like he's really playing hooky from school that day.
Yeah, he might
because
be
they're
off
gonna
for
be
all
done
I
anyway.
know.
Yeah,
For all I know, he might be off.
till you find out that it's like his graduation day or something.
Sorry to hijack the
Or
segment.
big project.
Yeah,
You know, like
he's got his
he's
final
got, like-
project he's got to
yeah.
do to make it on to high school, and Craig's like, "Nah, man, you're gonna learn more from Kendrick."
Get the real truth.
That's right. We're talking real world learning right now.
That's right.
Oh,
Take
man.
you up to SoFi to the
Have you
Kendrick
been
Lamar
to SoFi?
concert.
I've never been to
I haven't
SoFi.
been to SoFi either.
It's all right.
I heard that it's cool, but it's hard to get
It's
around.
a labyrinth.
It's a labyrinth. You know what it is? I was just talking to someone about this the other day.
It's not
I
great.
take for granted the circular
Oh, yeah.
Qualcomm.
100%.
You never see it anymore. Now,
No.
if you want to get from like one side of the stadium to another side of the stadium, you have to like
Have
do
the
a
right ticket
maze.
to enter in.
Yeah,
Like,
because
it's
they're
almost
like, nope. You got to go all the way
impossible.
around or whatever. And like Qualcomm, you could just walk in that circle.
That's true. You really
It's
could.
So great.
I've been to SoFi for 2 events, and it's just everything's cut off. Like, and you have to. I had tickets for one. I went to the LA Bowl because my buddy was in the. My buddy Washington State was in the game, played Fresno State or whatever, and like he bought like nicer tickets. It's the LA Bowl, right? So it's not like it's not a lot of people were going to be there.
Yeah.
Fresno State showed out. Washington State is a good fan base. I had to show my ticket 8 times to get to my seats.
What?
Like 8 different checkpoints.
That's
It
wild.
was like, this ticket works here, but it doesn't work there. This ticket works here. And I was like, all right, I showed my ticket to get in, obviously. And then like from there, if I have to show my ticket one more time for like a certain section, that's fine. I had to show it 8 times. And I was like,
That's
this is
crazy.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd rather just sit wherever the entrance is, just so I don't have to show my
So you
ticket
get
a
in and
1,000
out,
times.
right.
Right. And it was like constantly I had to go up to like go to the bathroom, and show my ticket again. It was just, it's so hard to navigate. You couldn't like meet up with anybody else out. If they didn't have the same ticket as you, you're not saying hi to them, like at all, unless you see them in the little like outside concourse.
Yeah, if you want to go check something out, like good luck.
Yeah,
You're
you
not
can't
gonna-
walk
you're not
around the
gonna
stadium,
get over
right?
there, right?
Yeah, you're 100% true on that. It's like I like Jerry's World a little bit better, but even in Jerry's World, like you can't walk around the bottom tier. The only place you can walk around is at the top. So if you needed to get to the other side of the stadium of where you entered, because they have entrances on the east and west side, the end zone side, the sun side. Well, we know the sun's going to be. You can't get around on the lower level. You have to go
west.
up to go around and then back down. So if I enter in on the west side and my tickets are on the east, I have to go all the way up to the top deck, walk all the way around, down the stairs to the other side, because the middle part is all fancy seating. It's all the nice like box and the suite and stuff. Which
You're not rich enough to go there.
No, I'm not, but I did have a hookup one time
All right.
that got me in there. Didn't have a seat in there, but we knew who had the wristbands. And got the wristband in there. All inclusive. Full bar, all inclusive food. They had a different menu on their little buffet every 15 minutes. If you didn't like what was on the little buffet thing, wait 15 minutes and you'd have something totally different. They had a personal sushi chef. I was there going like, I can see why people pay thousands upon
How the
thousands of
other half
dollars for
lives.
this.
Yes.
I was like, this is insane.
1% life.
Yeah, I was like, this is so
That's
cool.
better than paying $600 for a pizza or whatever that thing was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
did
that
that
section was
UNLV
like
was?
Hey, a
insane
pizza
amount of
and
money.
chicken
That's
tenders,
right,
Eddie.
fine.
Pizza and chicken tenders
I'd
for
rather have
$600.
the rotating 15-minute buffet.
They had a wall. They had like a dessert side, right? Again, rotating desserts. Every 15 minutes, you're gonna get a new dessert on the thing. But they had a wall of a bunch of like buckets. Like
Yeah.
just like, like imagine like one of those like, well, it looked like it was like from the 70s with a lot of holes in them, right?
Yeah.
A lot of circles. And in each one of those buckets was a different type of king size candy. Like every candy you could possibly imagine was there in that section.
That's insane.
All in the same little thing, all inclusive. Just got the wristband. We didn't have a seat. I was like, I don't care. I'll sit in this lounge and watch the game. I don't, who cares? They're getting blown up by the Broncos anyway. It was a hell of an experience. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is insane. This is why these seats get sold. This is the big money maker for everybody. You don't watch the game at all. You're just hanging out.
I mean, that's completely wild. And, listen, Tony in the chat, he's not wrong when he says I'm not cool if I spend $500 on concert tickets. I'm cool if someone gives me the tickets for free.
That's right.
I mean,
You have a hookup.
he's
right.
not
That's
wrong.
what makes you cool, right?
He's not wrong. I mean, it's a little bit humbling for him to say it, but he's not wrong. In fact, I used to really have that attitude about sports. I had that attitude about sports for probably 25 years or more, where I didn't buy tickets. I just didn't. I was like, I work in sports.
Right.
I'm going to find my way in. I'm
Yeah.
going to get
Yeah.
comp tickets. Somehow, if it's a game I want to go to, I'm going to figure out a way to get in as a media member.
Right.
And otherwise, whatevs. But I wouldn't go buy tickets to be in the outfield, or whatever. And then come 2021, I bought season tickets to the Padres. And obviously I hadn't been sitting in the press box for a while since then, but also I bought season tickets as a supporter for Loyal. And I guess that changed my opinion on that a little bit, but I get it. I do get it. I get, and
It's fun to go as a fan sometimes.
yeah. And Tony's in a band. So, I get that too. Kind of like that punk rock ethos of like, don't pay the man, be the man,
He also said you could sneak into shows.
Yeah, just like-
that is also.
You could be like those two Texas A&M students that tried to sneak into the game over the weekend pretending they're contractors.
That'd be great.
They got arrested. Didn't
Yeah.
do well.
That's the,
Yeah, I
It's
could do a
amazing.
the other
Logan
side
Lucky,
of that,
yeah.
right? Then
Yeah.
Be a part of the construction crew and sneak in from beneath the SoFi.
I think it'd be a lot harder to sneak into shows these days than maybe
There's
like
been too
20
many
years
videos
ago.
of people
Right.
doing it. They're on red alert. Like, wait a minute, this guy's badge says this guy's badge says one of the Bart Simpson names. He calls in a
and-
Moe's.
And now with all like security and you don't want anything bad to happen.
Yeah,
at your
exactly.
concerts.
It's
You
a
want
lot
to be
of-
very careful. So I understand that, right?
It's funny you said the tickets thing. I mean, it's like when my family goes to games, like I don't care. I just want to get in to most places. I've always been that way, and like obviously with Craig's what Craig just said, I totally agree. I try to find a way to work it, be able to contribute in some way and get in the press box. But it's fun to go as a fan, and when we go on like different. My parents like going to like they like being in good seats, and I'm just like I'll get in. I don't really care. And then I was like, well, they only go to like 1 or 2 games a year, right? So it's like if they're gonna go, and they're going to spend money. They're going to make it worth their while. So I understand that aspect too. But for me, any ticket that gets me in, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm in. I can figure out where I can sit and watch the game.
And this has been our review of Week 14 of the National Football League.
That'd be the preview. The review's on
Yeah,
Monday.
that's true. Well, I mean, it serves about the same purpose. We got just exactly the same amount of football content in for the review or the preview. Football games will be happening, and we'll talk about them on Monday. And there it is. Braden's football. No, Craig's concert segment.
Right.
This was
Yeah.
it.
I'm pretty sure you took that
Did you
one.
pull the trigger on
Right.
the tickets, though?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually in the midst of a text discussion with the missus. Now, she first
Also,
started.
you should factor in
Godspeed.
parking.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord!
it's
Of
gonna be
course,
like, I would factor in
$100. I'm
$100,
sure.
yeah.
$100.
Well,
So.
As we know with LA experiences and events, there might be something going on at Intuit Dome and at the Forum at the same time.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, we should probably look it up. Are the Clippers still playing?
Right.
May 22nd. Oh, they'd be deep in the playoffs at that point.
Could you imagine if they go on a run? That would be Craig's luck too. Clippers got the Western Conference Finals game that night.
Can we go? Can we go too? Yeah. SoFi 150 for parking.
Is that true? Oh, man.
Oh yeah, that's SoFi's insane, dude.
Are you kidding me?
It's class based, man, and you ain't part of the club.
Oh, must be nice in the 1% up there in La
That's
La
right.
Land. We're back with Best of Padres, our third edition, next. 11 o'clock on the fan, hour number 2 of Annie and Elsten. Annie Halbin, Craig Elsten, Braden Soprano with you in our Odyssey studios, coming your way on 97.3 The Fan FM radio, coming your way on the Odyssey app, free to download, free to use, AUDACY. If you are listening to us on the app and you'd like to leave a voice message for the show, you can press the little button right next to Listen Live that says leave a voice message. It drops into a box that Braden can access. He's been trained twice on how to do it.
Exactly.
And we'll play them later on Ask Us Anything. So if you want to drop in some voice messages, we'll be happy to hear from you. We are also a podcast streaming to you in the future from the past on all podcast platforms, including all the ones you use, including Apple, including Google, including Spotify, including everything else, and the Odyssey app. So if you're there, 5-star review. Yes. Little written review, positive review. Awesome. Really helps us. Thank you so much. And, of course, we're a video show on YouTube every day. We are live on YouTube on the 97.3 The Fan page. Find us there. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to Steampunk joining us from merry old England, joining us at night. Appreciate you. We're speaking to you in the future right now, so to speak. It says his 97.3 The Fan t-shirt is going to be arriving in time for Christmas. Delightful.
Yes.
I don't even have one of those.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds
I mean,
great.
it sounds like a shirt that has our logo on it.
Yes, and you can enjoy it with your tea and crumpets.
Indeed. So however, wherever, whenever you are supporting the show, we say thank you for being there. Little pushback so far from the wife on the Kendrick Lamar situation. Now
The
she's
missing
asking.
school or the cost of the...
No, more of
excursion?
the... is it you who wants to do this, or do you really think it'd be for him?
I think it'd be great for both.
You know, also...
A little father-son bonding time.
Yeah.
At the Kendrick Lamar concert.
My staff said Post Malone would be better for him. I am not going to a Post Malone concert. Sorry. Yeah, I agree, Jacob. I think,
I mean, to go see Kendrick in concert, I think would be a fun time.
I think
Whether
so,
or
too.
not you want to spend the money is a different story. Drive to
Plus
go
the
to
drive
LA,
up to
et cetera.
LA.
Yeah.
Good.
But
Yeah.
the actual
Good
concert
time.
itself, fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. The discussion continues.
Mitzi said, remember, I can hear you.
I know.
Well,
I figured
I mean,
as much.
and I do understand where Mitzi's coming from because she's like, let's really think this through.
Yeah, I
Right.
get it.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I mean, do I want to go? Yeah, of course. I want to go. And I mean, if the idea is that James shouldn't go, then the next thought for me is, well, I could buy a ticket for myself. But when I was looking at it at first, selfishly thinking this would be something I'd want to do, I thought, you know what? The way he's listening to music now and the way he's kind of getting into it, this could be one of those things that you remember when you're 14. You know, I remember when I was 14 and I went to a concert, like that.
Yeah.
True.
Like that could be one of those really cool things. So, Charisma says it'd be good. I don't know. Not a huge fan of his music, but
I remember when I was like a preteen, and there's, I was dancer. And so someone got tickets to like 933s. It was like a group of artists together.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like
Was it Wreck the Halls?
something like that. It's like
No,
a
that's
bunch
not
of
even
different
X, never
artists
mind.
playing together. And
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
a 933 or one of those
Jamboree
stations.
or Johnabee or Bambaloo
Yeah,
or something like that.
We're like,
Country
yeah,
Bear
okay,
Jamboree.
let's go. I think that might have been like the first concert I went to. But it was like down in Chula Vista. I was at probably the amphitheater or something, right?
Yeah.
Something somewhere down there. And I'm just like this little, preteen kid bopping along with, and they were a little older and whatever. But all I remember about that concert was the wafty smell.
Yeah, I
of
think
what
that's why.
happens at the concert.
Well, because Mitzi's
And I
in there
remember
saying,
being
yeah.
like, what is that? What's going on? And then I learned what that wafty smell is. And I think that's just a rite of passage.
Well, maybe. And the one concert, she's right in the chat. The one concert I took him to was
Probably
Dave
that,
Matthews.
guys.
Dave Matthews
I've
Band.
been to
That's
Dave
got to be
Matthews
a
Band, yes.
cloud over
I
that
went on
thing.
a date to Dave
Unsurprisingly, there
Matthews
was a
Band.
cloud. And
Yes.
unsurprisingly, he wanted to leave early. But also, like 3 years ago, he did a lot more sensitive ear stuff, and he really wasn't into music. Like, he's
But now
way
he's into
more
it
into
more,
music
yeah.
now than he was. I mean, he's at the stage now where I told you he plays music on his iPad, which is my iPad. And, like, he's in that, like, I really want to listen to music, but I don't quite understand the dynamics of it, where, like, I'm watching TV in the living room, and then he walks in and sits down next to me with the iPad playing music. I'm like, okay, I get you want to listen to music, but like, I'm right here. I'm trying to watch Survivor. It's on, So little boundary type things, but it's the sign of growth. It's the sign that he's growing into the idea of music being a part of his life.
Right. Well, maybe you should find out what music he likes.
Well, yeah.
He likes Fortnite music.
He likes the music that they play on Fortnite.
He should know. They have the same Spotify.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, that makes it really
All
easy
the For You that Craig doesn't know what songs they are.
Yeah, exactly.
I
My
see.
Spotify Unwrapped is his Spotify.
Got it.
Is that why you didn't post yours?
Correct. Because it's like Safe
awesome.
and Sound is his number one song, and 21 Pilots is his number 5. Like, I'm not going to be associated with this Unwrapped. You can have my Apple one. Any hoodles. Enough about that. We'll find out as the show goes on where that lands. But it's 11 a.m. It's Friday, and it's time in the off season for one of our new most popular traditions, and that's Padres Best of 2024. This is our third edition of it, where we've been going about 15 games at a time and slicing through. And each time when we take a slice out of the old cake that was the 2024 Padres regular season, we find some delicious nuggets within that slice.
Mini donuts.
Indeed. Lovely little mini donuts of joy.
In the Mini Donut Company.
So let's do it again. Let's continue the story, the saga of the 2024 Padres with our third edition of Best of Padres 2024. This will cover games 32 to 50, although really 32 to 48 in the season. And when we last left our beloved Friars, well, they had just gotten swept by Philadelphia at home. Bad news. Got clowned
That
by
was
the
a tough
Phillies.
period.
Sure was. In fact, as we pick up Best of, it's in the first ever Annie and Elsten Red Alert period.
Oh, yeah, I remember the red alert.
The Red Alert. The Reds were in town. The Padres had dropped the first game of the series to Cincinnati, and it was their fifth loss in a row. First time not the last time. First time the Padres had lost 5 games in a row on the season. The club was 14-18. They had just come off a truly dispiriting game where left-hander Nick Lodolo threw 7 innings, 1 hit,
Go Frogs.
11 strikeouts. Things were dire. I remember the show that day. Things were pretty dire. 14-18, people thinking this was going to be one of those years. Along come the veterans to save the day. Game 33, April 30th, Petco Park, Padres and Reds. I would call this one Veterans Plant a Flag Day. Drop the anchor. No more movement. No more drifting. We're going to, draw a line. It starts with you, Darvish. You had been on the disabled list. Remember, first couple starts weren't all that. And then he had a good one, and then he went on the DL. Well, he had been gone for a month. And he came back, and he dropped that anchor to stop the drift for the San Diego Padres. 5 shutout innings, just 3 hits allowed, no walks, 3 strikeouts, keeping the Reds shut down. Padres scratch a run across in the third, Jake Cronenworth RBI single. Then facing ex-Padre Nick Martinez, a 4-run 5th inning, keyed by Manny Machado clearing the bases.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Here's Machado, first pitch swinging, laces it into the left center field gap. Wade has scored. Tatis has scored. Cronenworth is on his way. De La Cruz will not make a relay. A bases clearing double for Machado and a 4-0 Padre lead.
At this time, remember, Manny Machado was not feeling it. That hit got his average to 250. He was not driving in runs. That was one of the topics of conversation. What's going on with Manny?
Still coming back from that elbow.
Right? But in a key moment, Annie, as we saw the rest of the year, really, those big brother moments for Manny Machado that he put up all year long, this was a moment where they absolutely had to have a hit, and he came up with a giant hit.
Yeah, big superstar moment. And one that you saw Manny do, and you've seen him do throughout his career, but he was recovering from that elbow. He was just taking a little bit of time to get up to what he normally does. And that was a tough period for him, I remember, because he was talking a little bit about couldn't do much more than he was already doing. You know,
Yeah.
it was still a lot of pain and training that he had to go through, a lot of rehab with that elbow. So it was good to see that happen when it did. I felt like both sides needed that really badly.
It was the key hit in the game. Spencer Steer dropped Merrill's fly ball with 2 outs that put Machado home, put the Padres up 5-0. It's interesting going back through this game, Andy, to see once again what Mike Schilt's bullpen looked like even at the end of April of this past season. Adrian Morejon came in, turned 5-0 into 5-2. Eniel De Los Santos allowed a pair of solo homers. At the time, it seemed just like, I thought De Los Santos was pitching pretty good. 2 solo homers. That's pretty odd. He'd basically give up at least a homer per appearance. The rest of his Padres tenure. Tatis brought home a 6th run with a fielder's choice, and at that time, our setup guy was Yuki Matsui.
Right.
And Yuki pitched a perfect 8th inning. Robert Suarez perfect 9th inning. Padres ended their 5-game losing streak and beat the Reds 6-4. And seeing that did remind me, Andy, once again, kind of like when we've talked about Waldron and Camposano, guys who were huge parts of the first half of the season for the Padres, not big parts of the second half of the season. People kind of forget about them, don't think they're part of the future. All these guys are parts of the Padres' future, and Yuki Matsui is going to have a role in the Padres' bullpen. They're hoping it's a big role.
Yeah, and I mean, for them to get to the playoffs, they needed all these guys. You still needed those games in May just as badly as you needed those ones in September. You know, the Padres needed those in order to make the run that they did this year. So it all ended up helping them out. But Yuki Matsui, is it 4 years? 4 years that he's
5.
his contract?
4 more.
4 more. Okay. 5-year, $28 million contract with the Padres. So he's going to be part of this team going forward. And I think for him last year, I mean, you would see, again, for him, just like we were talking about with Campy earlier, you would see him pitch well. It was just the consistency. I think it was him getting his confidence. I think it was acclimating to life in the United States, which we all know has been and can be tough for players making that switch. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do this year. You get a full offseason. Ruben Niebla, no doubt, and Ben Fritz gave him some things to work on in the offseason. So I definitely think he's going to be part of this going forward, and I think hopefully in a positive way.
Agreed. In fact, I'd say that the first 2 months of the season, Yuki Matsui was pretty good for this team. It's not in our current tranche of games, but I remember the game. It was Sunday, June 2nd. I'm looking at it on the schedule right now. It was that game in Kansas City when Robert Suarez had been pushed because the Padres blew an 8-run lead in the 8th inning or in the 9th inning, and he had to pitch 3 days in a row, that they led and they were going for the sweep in KC, and they asked Yuki Matsui to get his first career save.
Yes.
And it did not happen. He blew that game.
Yeah.
And I really think that game weighed on him in some ways the rest of the season. Like, I don't think he'd necessarily admit that, but I think that was a moment where he took that mental turn away from confidence and toward a little bit of self-questioning. Can I get big league hitters out in big situations? And that's when he really started to nibble, and it kind of fell apart a little.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he was walking so many guys, and the directive to him was, come on, throw it over the plate, challenge them. Be confident with your stuff. But when he would get spooked, he would go back to nibbling and walking guys, and those runs would come across. And so I think for him, it's like the stuff is there. He just has to get more confidence. He has to understand. It's hard to get dropped into a team with aspirations like the Padres had too. I mean, in a good way. It isn't like getting dropped into the A's or getting dropped into the Rockies, where hey, you can learn on the go because it's cool. We're not going anywhere anyways, right? Like, you're not going to make the postseason. But for a team like the Padres, you had to have a bullpen that could lock it down.
So the Padres won that game. They would go on to get a Jake Cronenworth grand slam the next day, took the series from Cincinnati, and then with trade rumors swirling, San Diego went on to Phoenix to take on the Diamondbacks, handled Arizona in Game 1 on a Friday night 7-1. The next day, May 4th, the Luis Arraez trade was announced, and Arraez was in the lineup that night to face the Diamondbacks. That's what we're going to come back with on Best of Padres 2024. Welcome to the Padres, Luis Arraez. His road debut was memorable. His home debut was memorable.
I remember what he did.
You're going to get to hear it. Pepperidge Farm remembers. That's what Pepperidge Farm brings you. All of our Best of Padres 2024. And we're back with the Luis Arraez games next on The Fan. The legend of Matt Scraby is
You know what?
it's bigger than life.
Crazy. You have Scrabistan decapitating a chair,
Yeah.
and then a mic dies. A mic loses its head. And so you're thinking, well, who could it have been?
Who could it have been? Could
It's got to be Scrabistan.
Could it be the guy with his own country?
Could it be the guy that's already chopped off the head of a chair?
Live on the internet.
Yeah.
Live
Didn't
on
even
the
care.
internet.
He didn't even care. He did in the middle of the day.
Just went.
I'll suffer the consequences. And that's how he's getting aggressive now. with
Held
the
up
mic.
the decapitated appendage.
And now we have.
Do you think you need a passport to get to Scrapestan?
Yeah, I think you do.
I wonder if I can zoom in on that.
Yeah, you have a.
Hang on a second. Oh, it's got to zoom in on Annie, which is lame.
Well, no, I mean Annie's great,
I mean, she's got her own camera. Let's not boost her ego here.
but broken mic now.
Yeah.
What'd you do this time, Scrapes?
Hang on.
Doom
Annie,
zoom, wow.
relax.
Whoa.
Look what he
Yeah,
did.
there we go.
Look what he did.
Look what he did to that poor boy.
That poor microphone.
What he did. He did it again.
We don't know if it was actually him, but I have my suspicions.
Why wouldn't you?
He already
mean, it wasn't
decapitated
Ello.
a chair.
We know it wasn't
We
Ello.
know it wasn't Ello.
We know it wasn't Gwyn.
We
'Cause
know
Gwyn wasn't here.
Scraby. We know it's not Levittown, but it's what did we call it?
Samserland.
Samserland. It's not Samserland. They're neutral.
Although he preferred Levittown.
Levittown. Go ahead. You can be
Levittown?
Levittown.
Levittown seems like a place that you'd want to raise your kids.
It's a real place in Pennsylvania.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's a place
Well, if
called
that's the
Levittown.
case, then I'm Bradenton.
Yes, you are
And
Brady.
Bradenton
That
has
also
been-
seems. That actually seems like a place by Steampunk the Elf in.
No,
That's
it's
right.
in New Jersey.
In London.
Bradenton?
Bradenton's in Florida. It's where
Florida,
the Pirates have their
Florida. There you
spring
go.
training
Reminds me
facility.
of Paddington.
Paddington Bear.
Yes.
Anyway, Scrapestan broke another thing in here. We're just gonna blame him.
This guy.
Paul found the evidence again. Now Paul's a little suspicious, a little sus,
He's a bit sus as well.
a little bit sus. But we have a inanimate object murdering spree going on in the studio in 2 days in a row.
Afghanistan?
Oh no! Wow! Zen is going after Sam.
That's it. There it is.
Wow.
Scrabistan and Afghanistan seem like they would definitely
taken over.
be bordering, warring.
This is
countries.
the axis, this is the new axis of evil.
I think it could be.
Somebody get the George Bush impersonations from Saturday Night Live.
Oh my golly. All right.
Oh man, just the worst.
Music's on. Let's go to our Louisa Rise portion.
He's gonna decapitate you.
You keep
Like,
throwing, you
tell
keep
the
calling him
music's
out.
on.
He keeps calling him out. He keeps calling him out. Scraby's gonna decapitate you. Maybe he's just a hitman.
On May 4th, Louisa Rise. Okay,
It's a
back to
nice
best
lights you got right there in front
Be a
of you.
shame- be a
It'd be
real
a
shame.
shame if it got his head chopped off. What else is great? Hey, those are some good whiteboards you got there, Craig.
Be a shame
It'd
if they
be
were
a shame if they got
smashed in
smashed in half. How'd you play the match game then, Craig?
Match this, buddy.
That's right. Scraby snaps the
Jeez, Scrapes. Dude.
whole on investigation. Hopefully there's stuff still here on Monday. I mean, that's tonight, and then who knows if he sneaks in here on the weekends.
That's wild.
Oh,
This guy.
man.
All right, back to Best of Padres 2024. We bring you to May 4th, a special night in the Padres season. Game 36 of the schedule. It was that early that the Padres picked up Luis Arraez from the Miami Marlins in a trade that looks more and more like a theft every day. The Marlins agreed to pay his entire salary.
It was a theft in 2024.
It was.
Yes, for sure.
Not in 2025, but the Marlins paid Luis Arraez to play on the Padres.
And they took Woo-Suk Go's $4 million salary, too.
And then DFA'd him.
They just dumped him on the street.
Yes.
He's
We'll see
gone
ya, buddy.
Who
and will
else did
never
they
be seen
take?
again.
They took.
Dylan Head, right? Jacob
Yeah.
Martorella,
Okay.
and
So minor league guys, right.
Another minor league guy.
Yeah.
I have the Arise hit if you wanted to.
Well, we're going to get there. We're going to get there because here we go. He arrives. He's traded for that morning. He's in the lineup that night.
They were in Oakland, though.
No, Chase Field.
No, but he was in Oakland with Miami.
Oh, that's why. That's why. Quick trip down the coast. So, his very first at bat at Chase Field against Brandon Luis Arraez double down the right field line.
Do you want it?
Sure.
Here's the 1-0 from Fott, and Arise rips it down the right field line. A base hit headed towards the corner. McCarthy over to dig it out. It's going to be extra bases, and Arise standing at second with a double. The second pitch he sees in his Padre debut.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah. Arise comes home on a Manny RBI single. It's 1-0 Padres. In the third inning, Arise comes up for the second time. He singles again. He's 2 for 2. Manny double play kills that frame. But in the fourth, Padres' bottom of the order is rallying, and up steps Luis Arise with 2 outs and 2 on for his third Padres at bat.
In the fourth or the third?
In the fourth.
In the fourth. Don't have that one.
It was an RBI single, and good for a 3-0 lead. Padres were up 3, and they would romp. They would absolutely go on to romp and go up 11-0, an 8-run seventh inning. That inning was capped by a 3-run homer. We'll know him and we'll miss him from Ha-Sung Kim.
Here's the pitch from Kim. That's it in the air to deep left field. Gurriel is going back, twisting and turning. He's watching. It's going to go. A 3-run homer for Ha-Sung Kim. 11-0 Padres, and now an 8-run seventh inning as Kim clears the fence for the 5th time this year.
That's a big one.
Beautiful stuff. Kim finishes with that 3-run homer and 4 RBI. Arise finishes 4 for 6 in his first Padres game. Michael King was on the mound for San Diego. He just cruised 6 shutout innings, back into the bullpen, gets through it, and the Padres wind up taking 2 out of 3 from Arizona that weekend. 2 easy wins, and then Matt Waldron got the doors blown off of his sedan on Sunday, and the Padres take 2 out of 3. San Diego enjoyed a 4-2 road trip through Arizona and Chicago. Dylan Cease finished off the Cubs series with 7 innings of 1-hit ball, striking out 12 in a 3-0 shutout victory. And the Padres came home with a record of 20-20 in time for a weekend series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And it would be Luis Arise's home debut in the City Connects. This is our next game on Best Of. Game 41, May 10th, Petco Park, Friday night. And what a pitching matchup this was, Annie. I remember this game pretty well. Tyler Glasnow taking on Michael King. Glasnow was tremendous. This was an absolute gem of a pitcher's duel. Glasnow, 7 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. But good news for the Padres, that 1 hit came in the 3rd inning, went over the fence. Who got it? Campy got it.
On a night like tonight, maybe even smaller.
Yeah.
Campusano goes after the first pitch and hammers it deep to left center field. This one gonna go. Campusano came up hunting fastball. He got 97 on the way in. He sent it out at 105, and the Padres' first hit of the night is a home run to give them a 1-0 lead.
Again, kid was pretty good at the start of the year.
Yes.
He was pretty good. He was added to our offense all the time. 1-0 Padres, and Michael King wasn't the first breakout game. We did that one in the last Best Of in Milwaukee when he had the no-hitter into the 7th. But here, facing L.A., facing a full-strength Dodgers lineup, Michael King doesn't allow a single run over 7 shutout innings, just 2 hits allowed. He strikes out 11. But because Glasnow's so good on the other side, it's 1-0 Padres going to the top of the 8th inning when setup man Yuki Matsui is brought in to face the top of the LA order. And you can't even imagine 5 months later the Padres making that decision, like almost in any circumstance, to bring in Yuki Matsui to face those guys.
After the trade deadline, there was a pre-trade deadline bullpen and a post-trade deadline bullpen, and the two really did not meet unless it was a blowout game that was somewhat inconsequential.
You aren't kidding. So guess what? Matsui against the top of the LA lineup didn't go great. This was before they had the flip-flop. Mookie Betts led off with a single that went off of Matsui's leg. Then Shohei Ohtani doubled. Freddie Freeman hit a sac fly. The game was scored tie score, 1-1. On to the bottom of the 9th inning. Blake Trinan in the game. Michael Grove in the game. Luis Campusano hits a leadoff double Homer and a double in the game for Campy. Tyler Wade pinch runs. 1 out later, here he is. Home debut, Luis Ariz. What do you got?
Left-handed batter. Here's the first pitch from Grove. Line into center field and a base hit. Wade's on his way to third. He's going to be waved. Outman's throw is on the way. No chance. And the Padres walk it off.
Who else? Luis Ariz. First pitch hacking, bullet up the middle. The Padres take game 1 of this 3-game set on a walk-off single by Luis Ariz.
His first home game as a Padre, and he wasted no time against Michael Grove. One of the most exciting games of the season and a great result as the Padres end the Dodgers' 7-game winning streak with a walk-off 2-1 win here at Petco.
Oh, what a great call.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was just terrific. You hear how excited Tony was there?
Yeah.
He was fired up. That's Tony on 10.
Great to hear both of their voices always. But I remember Petco Park that night, because it was exciting. Okay, the fans just got Luis Ariz. I remember him talking about afterwards how nervous he was. He obviously had nerves. He just got traded again. You want to make a good impression, and he was on the road, but now this is his first home game in front of these fans, and he was so he wanted to please everyone, and he ends up getting that big hit, and he ends up walking it off, and they got him with the Gatorade shower, and it was just a fun night, and that was a time too when the fans knew about. They weren't always winning at night at Petco still. It was
Right.
like
No,
May.
they were getting killed. Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't always like a walk-off like it ended up being at the end of the season, the last few months of the season when they were winning all the time and they'd have all those heroics. That was really early on when that was really kind of just starting for those fans.
So the Padres would trade shutouts with L.A. the remainder of the weekend. They lost 5-0 to James Paxton. Then they won 4-0 behind Cease and took 2 out of 3. Then Colorado came to town and dealt the Padres their second most miserable series of the year.
Oh, yes.
A 3-game home sweep capped by an 8-0 loss in the getaway game where Michael King got crushed and Austin Gomber pitched 7 shutout innings. Austin Gomber, who just had the Padres number all year long. Padres were back under 500. They were 22-24. They were heading out on the road again. The red alert flag was waving again. Atlanta was up. One of the best teams in all of the National League, the Atlanta Braves. Things were definitely feeling quite wobbly. The Padres needed a huge performance to plant a flag and drop an anchor once again. And when we come back, they got it from a source that at the time, nobody, not even me, expected. We're going to talk about it right after this. Is Best of Padres Part 3 wraps up after this timeout. It's Andy and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, the home of Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football. Hey, San Diego sports fans, head to your local Buffalo Wild Wings and try their new maple chipotle sauce for rich maple sweetness and a mild smoky chipotle heat. Or for a bit of a kick, check out the new Cajun sauce for a rich blend of spicy and tangy pepper sauce. Stop by your San Diego B-Dubs or order now, takeout and delivery available with the app Buffalo Wild Wings. Go! We go on with Best of Padres 2024, Part 3. Annie and Elsten here with you. Annie Halvin, Craig Elsten, Braden Suprenant. Time for a trip to Atlanta. And, you know, going back through these games, it just reminds you of what a seesaw, dare we say a roller coaster, the first 100 games of the Padres season were.
Remember they had a hard time hitting left-handed pitching?
Big time.
Like Gomber, whoever it was, it seemed like it just completely stifled them.
They had such a bad stretch against left-handers during the season that Elo came up with this stat of like the number of consecutive quality starts that a left-hander had, and he kept it on a little yellow Post-it note here on the monitor in front of me, and he would just keep updating it because it just kept getting worse.
And it's true. I mean, by the end of the season, and the players said this during the stretch, it had all pretty much evened out. Their road wins, their left-handed, for the most part. I mean, it wasn't as extreme as it was those first few months. But those first few months when you're trying to figure out what this team is, and they're trying to figure out exactly what they are too, those were big storylines.
Yeah. You know what? I actually meant to bring it up yesterday as just kind of an aside. But yesterday we did our right field performance review. One place where that manifested was Tatis. He was terrible against left-handers in the regular season last year. He hit .222 with 2 homers against lefties last year. .222 with 2 homers. 2 of his 21 homers came against lefties.
Obviously not great numbers. Was his sample size a lot smaller, though?
I mean,
because he missed so many games. I don't know how many left-handers he ended up facing.
Yes, I mean, in the sense that, here, I'll find it. In the sense that he only had 398 at-bats, and so probably only a quarter of those, because usually that's what it is.
Because they talked about that. I mean, it was kind of like, hey, it's just a matter of getting more at-bats and getting more reps against them.
118 plate appearances against lefties, 225 average, 2 homers, 5 RBI. He walked a lot against lefties, and that's it. That's it. So, just, again, to illustrate your point, at that time in the season, which is where we're going to for our last stop today, May 17th, at that point, the Padres were so bad against left-handers.
And it wasn't just like the elite left-handers.
Correct.
It was all the left-handers.
It was all the left-handers. We did like 2 deep dive hours on what was going on with the Padres against lefties. And Xander wasn't hitting lefties. Manny wasn't hitting lefties. Tatis wasn't hitting lefties. And Jake Cronenworth was doing nothing against lefties. He was hitting like 100 with 3 hits and all strikeouts. And we were still hitting him right in the middle of the order against left-handers. I remember literally the morning of this game that we're about to go to having that commentary, like, Jake can't be in the lineup against Max Fried today. That's just going to be a terrible decision. Because this game 1 of a 4-game series in Atlanta was Max Fried, former Cy Young Award winner, the Padre that got away, against Matt Waldron. At a time, Padres not hitting lefties at all, and at a time when Matt Waldron was 1-5, had just gotten destroyed in the Atlanta series, pitched only okay against L.A., and every game, you remember this, Annie? Every game early for Matt was like, give up 2 runs in the first, give up another run in the second, maybe even another run in the third, and then settle in, lock in, pitch another 3-4 innings of shutout baseball. But the first couple of innings, he'd really, really wobble.
They worked diligently on just that thing because of that. Once he settled in, he was fine. But those first few innings, and it wouldn't just be like 1 run or 2 runs. Sometimes it'd be 5 runs. So it was just a hard thing for that offense to always get out of, But he worked on it and was able to get a little bit better at that as the season went on.
His previous 3 starts, he had given up at least 3 runs in the first 3 innings every time. So, as we get into Game 47, May 17th, Truist Park, Padres and Braves. Fried and Waldron, who knows how important one play was in the season of Matt Waldron? Because first inning, dominant first inning for Max Fried. Strikes out everybody, 1, 2, 3, whammo. Then Waldron steps out on the mound and immediately starts to weeble wobble. Ronald Acuna Jr. singles. Ozzie Albies doubles. Marcell Ozuna strikes out, and then Matt Olson steps up to the plate.
Now ready to go on 3-1. Here's the pitch. Olson swings, lines it into left center field. Profar over and in, has to play it on a hop. Acuna will score. Albies trying to get to third. Manny tags him out. Oh, what a play. Albies was kind of having to wait to see if it was going to be caught or not. Profar, really good throw, and Manny really heads up, kind of away from the bag at third base, cut down the distance, received the throw, tagged him out, and a huge out number 2 here in the bottom of the first inning.
I really think that's one of those tiny things, one play in a season. I think that was a critical play in Matt Waldron's season. Was Jurickson Profar nailing Ozzie Albies on a short throw to turn what could have been another catastrophe first inning where the Braves are just circling around the bases and it's 2-0, 3-0, and you're trailing Fried and everyone gets in a negative mind space. Instead, it's 1-0, but there's 2 outs. Waldron strikes out the next guy, and he continues on to get his next 5 outs, all by strikeout. He had that hard knuckleball that day, that 82-mile-an-hour knuckleball, and nobody on the Braves could touch him. But the Padres couldn't touch Max Fried until the 5th inning. Luis Arraez singles. Fernando Tatis Jr. walks. A Profar RBI single makes it 1-1. And now, here comes the guy who can't hit a lefty to save his life at the moment, Jake Cronenworth.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Fried comes home, runners stay put, and a ground ball base hit into right field. Tatis will score. Profar's on his way to third. Back-to-back RBI singles, and the Padres have jumped in front. It's 2-1.
Machado RBI fielder's choice makes it 3-1. Fried out of there, 2 outs in the 5th inning. Padres wouldn't score again, though, in the game, but they had nicked around Max Fried while Matt Waldron pitched amazing, striking out a career-high 10 batters over 5 2/3 innings. And right there, Annie, 2, as you were saying, 2 of those narratives that were kind of chasing the Padres. Can't hit a lefty.
Yeah.
They've got a kid in the rotation who doesn't belong. There's a lot of talk at that point, early May, like, get him out of here. Just get him out of here. Waldron needs to be gone. Waldron pitches his butt off. And then, in the final 2 innings, I don't know what they've got saved on this. I hope they've got the last out.
I have the last out.
Perfect. That's all we need. This was literally, I think, my favorite singular Mike Schilt moment of the entire season. Again, Padres wobbling. Yuki Matsui, 8th inning. We'd been using him. Hadn't really been working out. He had just gotten into a wobbly stretch. And in the bottom of the 8th, up come the Braves. Top of the order. Top of the order is set. Acuna and Albies and Olson and everyone else. And out of the bullpen trots Robert Suarez to pitch the 8th inning, not the 9th inning, not a 6-out save, to pitch the 8th inning. He gets around a couple of singles. He strikes out 2. He gets through the 8th, and that left the 9th. Who's going to pitch the 9th? Jeremiah Estrada, who was only about 2 weeks old on the ball club. Jeremiah Estrada comes out of the bullpen to pitch the bottom of the 9th. All he does is strike out every single guy he sees.
Pitch number 7 to short, swung on and missed, strike 3, and Estrada collects his first major league save, strikes out the side in the bottom of the 9th. The short skid is over, and the Padres win Game 1 in Atlanta 3-1. Matt Waldron, outstanding, gets a win, and the Padres' 5th inning rally holds up as they open their trip with a victory here in Atlanta.
Man, what a moment that was in the season. And really, it's the breakout moment of Jeremiah Estrada's career. In our next version of this on Friday next week, we'll hear him set the consecutive Major League strikeout record. But it starts here with him punching out the side in Atlanta.
Yeah, it was a big deal then, especially because, like you said, no one really knew all that much about Estrada. He was doing well in the minors. But when he came up to the majors, it was like, how are they going to use him? What's he going to be on this club? And it also showed how Mike Schultz was going to be. He's not afraid to use guys out of turn. He will make it matchup based when he needs to be instead of role based. But that was a big one. I mean, to leave Atlanta at that time, right, with three out of 4, that was a big deal because I mean, at the time they weren't playing that great, right? It seemed like almost Atlanta might run away with it, but they always seem to do well in Atlanta, and it was kind of a signature for them to start turning the corner.
Yeah, the next game was a rainout. The next game, the Padres won. Then they had to play a doubleheader, a day-night doubleheader, and they won the first game coming from 5-0 down to beat the Braves 6-5.
That's right.
And take the first 3 games of the series. That was the game, actually, that Xander Bogaerts broke his shoulder. Was at the point that it was 5-0. Yeah, he dove on like the 5th run allowed when they were down 5-0 and left the game, and we didn't know, but we wouldn't see him again until August.
Yeah.
And then the Padres came out of a rain delay. It was like 5-0 and a rain delay, and then they came out and they won 6-5. I remember having my 3rd most miserable round of golf that morning at Tecolote. I remember that specifically, like turning off the stream down 5-0 and it's raining and going, ugh, and then popping back in as they were in the middle of the rally that led to 6-5 and going, holy cow, these guys just keep finding ways in games where you think they're done that they're not done.
Yeah, that was such a big deal then, too, because it was so fresh off of 2023. And the opposite of that happening really in 2023. So they started it then. They kept it going throughout the season. I mean, you really looked at this Padres team as a team that never backed down, a team that would always go up and be ready to fight. They had a never say die mentality until the last out of the game. That became a big milestone for them in terms of the team that they wanted to be in their identity and what they want to continue to be.
Yep. So that brings a close to this edition of Best of 2024 as we leave our Padres heading to next week's edition, 25-25 at the end of 50 games. They were 20-20. They were 25-25.
I mean, they were 500 for.
They were 50-50. So we've got another 25 wins and 25 losses to get through before we get to the real good stuff. But I'm telling you that the whole point of why we're doing this, in addition to clearing an hour a week, I mean, you know, let's be honest, there's that too, but it's to remind us all, because the end of the season was 24 shutout innings. It was losing to L.A., it was seeing the Dodgers go on to win the World Series while we had to stand there with our faces pressed against the glass, watching them celebrate. And then they've continued on to sign Snell, to be rumored to get everybody. This feels like all of baseball is like racing away into the financial stratosphere. And I've seen so much negativity from people who love the San Diego Padres. And it's like, that's the point of this recurring series on Fridays on the show, is to go through the great moments of the season, not as a propaganda exercise, but as an actual reminder. This team gave us so much joy in 2024. Don't throw all the joy away because of 24 innings at the end, because in between, this team kicked butt and gave us so many memories. So anyways, that's why we're doing it. Best of Padres 2024, Part 3. Done. Okay. We're getting ready to line up the second half of the show, and it's lining up to be a good one. When we come back, 12 o'clock Sports Fix, weekend preview edition. Has Juan Soto signed in the last 10 minutes?
I didn't see it.
You would know. Trust me.
Yeah.
We would get the alerts.
It would be everybody would be freaking out.
We've still got Danny Jansen to talk about.
I all I see is Danny, sweet old Danny right now.
So we got some Danny.
A song.
We got NFL
I think that's what I'm thinking
previews.
of.
We got to look at the college football weekend, the college basketball weekend that will be. I've got all your local teams, NBA, NHL, MLS Cup championship this weekend.
High school state playoffs.
High school, yes. Hey, Southwestern College tonight.
Yes.
Right?
And El Cap tonight. We have 2 games in town tonight. The other 4 teams will play tomorrow. We'll get you the full schedule.
All of that coming your way in just over 7 minutes on the 12 o'clock Sports Fix. Later on, We're going to hear from John Flint, from John and Tammy, as the St. Jude radiothon continues. We're going to play Anybody Knows at 12:40, 12:45-ish, and maybe qualify one more person to go to Las Vegas. Media Melanie will be along at 1:20 with Crossing Streams, so plenty to get to between here and there.
And you going to listen to the devil on her shoulder or the angel on her shoulder?
We'll find out depending
We'll
on how many
find
I get
out.
right. Yeah.
That's right.
Looking forward to it. All
I have
right.
to pull a difficult card this week.
Is there such a thing?
The last one we had was pretty difficult.
Yeah, that's
John
right.
had a rough time.
They've been a little tougher the last few weeks.
I agree. What's going on? Maybe the. I don't
Maybe
know.
we just don't know as
No,
much.
it's
Yeah, well,
That's what we used to
exactly.
do.
You really think everybody knows? Hey, what do you know about this? Huh? Okay, so we're ready. The music is going to hit in 3, 2, 1.
There you
Boom.
go.
And away we go. Into your lunch hour. Stay right with us, friends. Annie and Elsten rolling. 12 o'clock Sports Fix and all the news that you need coming up right after this on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's 12 o'clock. It's a Friday.
Got no job.
Ain't got no
Nothing
job.
to do.
And if you do have a job, really? Come on. Let's be honest.
December now.
You're
I mean,
phoning it in the rest of the month.
This is the last day of productivity for the holidays.
That's right. So hopefully you've gotten all your work done, but it's time to cruise into the weekend with us here on the Annie and Elsten program, and we grease the skids for that smooth transition with the 12 o'clock Sports Fix Weekend Preview Edition, giving you all the information of the sports info that you need. Here's Annie with baseball.
Oh, yeah.
I heard Danny Jansen got rich today.
Wow, way to just kill her whole segment, bro.
Sorry. Well, just like it's an offside. You know,
I'll,
like
I'll
you're
start
at
with
the.
Danny.
Hey,
Okay, well, that's the only thing going on in baseball. Is it Annie's Craig's still thinking it's his segment after that Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. It was
I
a Tuesday.
scrounged a few things. I scrounged a
Did
few
you really?
things, okay? All
All
right,
right, here we go.
according to Robert Murray, as Craig just noted, free agent catcher Danny Jansen and the Tampa Bay Rays are in agreement on a 1-year, $8.5 million contract pending a physical. Jansen had multi-year offers, but chose to bet on himself coming off a down season, goes to a place where he will get consistent playing time. We've been hearing rumors that the Giants could be interested in signing former Padre and old friend Ha-Seong Kim. They do need a shortstop, but Kim likely won't be ready in time for the start of the season because of the shoulder surgery he just had. Well, Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic reports that Giants star third baseman Matt Chapman told team officials he'd be willing to play shortstop early in the year while Kim recovers. According to Rosenthal, that's one of various possibilities the team is considering. Chapman is a 5-time Gold Glove winner and has 10 career innings at shortstop. The Dodgers announced that first baseman Freddie Freeman underwent surgery on his right ankle, consisting of, quote, debridement and the removal of loose bodies. Debridement? I don't know.
Debridement.
Something about getting everything out of there, right? Debridement of the debris, probably, which is the loose bodies. They added that Freeman is expected to be able to participate in baseball activities during spring training, though it's unclear how impacted his offseason will be. He suffered the sprain in late September in one of the final regular season games, actually against the Padres. It was a storyline, as we all remember, throughout the postseason. As we are awaiting the Soto sweepstakes to end, Alex Spear of the Boston Globe reports that the Red Sox brass has expressed interest in another meeting at which Soto's camp would name the price necessary to get a deal done. That's an effort to avoid being unknowingly outbid at the end. It seems the Sox are worried about the Mets and Grimace in particular.
McDonald's getting involved.
So they want right of last refusal is what they want.
That's right.
Right, yeah, they want, which, I mean, couldn't Boris just give them any number he wants and be like,
Yeah, you could, theoretically.
they're in on this. This is what we need.
Yeah, kind of like an auction, the buy it now price. Like if
Yeah.
you really don't, if you
Yeah.
don't want to get in the bidding, just $750 million, and you can have him right now
And
today.
it's yours.
And yeah, I mean,
Is that it?
yeah, that's it.
all we got?
Sorry, that's
Right,
it.
okay.
Yeah. I did the best I could.
No, you did well. I think you did quite well. Here's Braden with NFL news.
Got a couple of NFL stories for you. Start with a former NFL coach and a former college coach. Bill Belichick, who won 6 Super Bowl championships with the Patriots, has had discussions with North Carolina about the Tar Heels head coaching job, sources told ESPN on Thursday. Bill Belichick, who is 72, has been out of football this year after leaving the Patriots following the 2023 season. Sources told ESPN that Belichick, who has spent his career in the NFL, wants to coach again and is open to listening to people at the college and NFL level. UNC fired Mac Brown on November 26th after 6 seasons with the Tar Heels. The 73-year-old Brown, College Football Hall of Famer, was in his second stint at the school. Belichick is only 1 year younger than Brown, who was the oldest coach in the FBS this season. Very interesting. Can't imagine him actually going to college in this day and age of college athletics.
Yeah.
It doesn't really suit 70-year-olds when it comes to like telling 18-year-olds they're the greatest thing they've ever seen when he has coached a lot better players.
Well, in this age, too, of college athletics, like,
Yeah,
I'm surprised at this one.
I think they're just trying to say, hey, look, Bill Belichick's interested in our
Interested,
job.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you be interested in our job?
Drum up more interest, right.
And, drum up interest for, Plus, you got to deal with senile Jerry Jones. So he sees this. Oh, we got to get this guy now. Bill Belichick, hot commodity. So he interviewed for the UNC job. I don't see that happening. UNC opens up the season next year, hosting TCU. So I'm obviously paying attention to that a little bit. Hopefully it's not Bill Belichick.
Right.
Better in Kentucky is backing the Eagles to defeat the Panthers on Sunday with a $3.1 million wager. One of the largest bets ever reported on an NFL regular season game. Circus Sports took the wager on the Eagles' money line Thursday afternoon at minus 700 odds, which would net approximately $442,000. In response, the sportsbook moved its line on Philadelphia to minus 870 and lengthened Carolina to plus 650 as of Friday morning. Other sportsbooks have Philly as long as 675, with the Birds giving around 13 points to the Panthers on the spread market wide. Circus Sports owner Derek Stevens told the Vison Prime Ticket betting program, that's a thing, that the big bet has the sportsbook on the hunt for some significant buyback on Carolina. Most sportsbooks had the Panthers at around plus 575 on the money line, while Circa was offering plus 650 on Friday. This guy in Kentucky is spending $3.1 million to win $400,000. $440,000.
The math isn't mathing.
No, it's not. I mean, well, that's what you have to do to make money off
Yeah.
a bet like, betting on the Eagles to beat the Panthers. He's so confident. 13.5-point favorites for the Eagles at home against Carolina. I might be watching this a little bit closer now. I might be rooting for Carolina just to see what would happen. If things start getting a little funny, hey, Carolina starts getting the ball bouncing their way.
Yeah.
You know what's going on. I can't believe that. It's a lot of money for nothing. To win nothing. That's like those $100 bets that win $5. Why? What's the risk? The risk reward doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's it for the NFL news. We'll be more with high school and college in just a second.
But first, a look at the rest of the world of sports, starting with local arena sports. San Diego Gulls are home tonight for a country night when the Bakersfield Condors come to Pechanga Arena for a 7 p.m. face-off. Gulls snapped a 6-game losing streak on Wednesday night with a shootout win in San Jose. Bakersfield is 7-8-3 on the season. The San Diego Seals will try to build on their season-opening home win last weekend when they travel to Atlanta to take on the Georgia Swarm tomorrow. That game will face off at 5 p.m. Saturday on ESPN+. An hour after that, San Diego Soccer's season will begin in Tacoma Saturday night against the Stars. 6 p.m. kickoff. MASL matches this year will be aired on YouTube and on the CBS Sports Golazo network, which is a free network. Yeah. And you can find it on the Paramount Plus app and other places. But this one, Soccer's and Stars, will be 6 o'clock Saturday on YouTube. Over to the NBA. Thursday night scoreboard last night. Cleveland continued their domination of the league. First team to 20 wins, 20-3. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they beat Denver 126-114. In that game, Nuggets center and three-time MVP Nikola Jokic had a triple-double. He passed Magic Johnson for the third most triple-doubles in the history of the NBA. Pretty impressive. Yes. On the other side of the universe from Cleveland lies Washington. The Wizards lost to Dallas yesterday, 137-101. And the Wiz are 2-18 on the season. Here's something I saw in an NBA newsletter this morning, though, Annie. Last year, the Pistons were 2-18 at the same stage of the season. And everyone was talking about, is this one of the worst teams ever? And they went on to lose 26 games in a row. The Wizards, currently, their point differential is twice as bad as Detroit's was last year. Ooh. They have given up over 300 points more than they've scored so far this year in 20 games. So they're not just losing.
That doesn't seem good.
They're getting their butts kicked every night. Yeah. Every night. 2-18, the Washington Wizards.
It's going to be a long season.
Very long.
Yes.
They are sagging for Flag, for sure. They're hoping to get that lottery and get Cooper Flag. New York, Oklahoma City, New Orleans, Chicago, and Memphis also getting wins. Big game in the West last night. Golden State out-defensing Houston 99-93. The Warriors winning without both Steph Curry and Draymond Green. Jonathan Kuminga had 33 points to lead them. There are 7 games in the association tonight. The Lakers, who have lost 6 out of 8 and are on the single worst losing bender in terms of of points allowed in the history of the franchise. They've been blown out by 70 the last 2 games combined. They are at one of the hottest teams in the league, Atlanta, which has won 6 in a row. So let's see what happens here when L.A. takes on Atlanta at 4:30 this afternoon. Milwaukee and Boston is another great one to watch this afternoon at 4:30. You might remember the last time these two teams met was the Giannis elbows Jaylen Brown, and then they're going down the court, and he offers his hand,
Yes.
and then he goes, psych, too smooth.
He's just kidding around.
And then he called him a kid.
Yeah, and then Jaylen Brown called Giannis a child.
Yeah, a
big
child.
child.
Yeah.
So rematch tonight. Bucks at Boston. That should really be fun. Elsewhere, Orlando at Philly, Indiana at Chicago, Sacramento at San Antonio, Minnesota beat Golden State. Beat Golden State. I don't know that yet. They'll play the game later tonight. And Utah.
They
I hope
took
you
you,
put money on it if you do.
Yeah,
You
just go
took
ahead.
took the DeLorean to work today.
I did.
see.
Minnesota beat. That's only for that game.
That's
Unfortunate.
right.
Very unfortunate.
It's the only one you saw as you drove to work this morning when you hit 88 miles an hour on the freeway.
The gigawatts aligned, and I'm like, oh.
All right.
Minnesota wins on the road. Got it.
Were you in Kentucky earlier this week
Shh,
for any reason?
don't want to let you know that.
3.1 million on the Eagles.
Such a silly bet. Last night in the NHL, 9 games, none involving our local teams, but we do like Winnipeg, and they beat Buffalo 3-2 in overtime, so we like that. Tampa spanked the Sharks 8-1. That seems like a very unusual score as well, and worthy of noting. Tonight, Anaheim Ducks will take on the Minnesota Wild. Ducks are hoping for good news on Trevor Zegras, who left with a lower body injury in their last game. He's probably unavailable tonight. Seattle, New Jersey, Washington, Toronto, Pittsburgh, New York, Columbus, Vancouver, and Dallas, Vegas round out your NHL scoreboard. Finally, on my side, MLS Cup is tomorrow, 1 p.m. from Dignity Health Sports Park, Carson, former Chargery, former Aztec-y Stadium.
Former state championship.
Correct.
Pros versus Joes.
That is where you will see the LA Galaxy seek their 6th record-setting MLS Cup title, or New York Red Bulls win their first cup of any sort ever.
Oh, wow.
These are two of the franchises that have been there since the start. Great game. If you are interested in watching it here in town, San Diego FC announced they are hosting a watch party at Fair Play in North Park. So
great
if you want
place.
to,
Yeah.
Fair Play is a great place. If you want to be out with the supporters, con la gente, and check out some San Diego FC swag and such, you can go to Fair Play tomorrow. And again, that game kicks off at 1 o'clock. That's it for me. Back to Braden with a college story.
All right, I got a couple of college stories for you, obviously with the games coming up this weekend. But the college story, speaking of older gentlemen doing NIL as head coaches, Oklahoma State Mike Gundy are in a standoff, per Pete Thamel. Oklahoma State Cowboys, want him to take a restructured contract that would include a pay cut. Quote, they have also discussed firing him for cause if he doesn't agree to the new contract.
Whoa.
Sources, according to On3 Sports and Pete Nakos of On3 Sports, say that Oklahoma State offered Mike Gundy a reduced contract that would come with assurance he would go all in on name, image, and likeness. The dollars saved on his contract would be put towards NIL and revenue sharing. If Gundy does not agree, Oklahoma State will terminate his existing deal and launch a head coaching search.
Oh.
Wow. That's
They're
a lot.
forcing him to take a new contract.
We are going to fire you because you
Firing
guys
him.
suck.
That
Because they
seems like-
suck this year. Or you could take a new contract where we pay you less.
It seems like there should be like something legal to fight back on that on. Unless it was written into his contract that you had to be good enough to continue this contract. I don't know, but like, can they do that?
Remember when we were talking about him earlier in the year, right? We went through this is his first real losing season since his first season. He's been there for 20-something years. And they were awful. I mean, they weren't very good. And in this day and age, he's got to embrace the NIL, which he hasn't done. And so obviously, if you're Oklahoma State, that gets a lot of money. I mean, they are well funded, and you're getting your ass kicked in recruiting right now. Their recruiting rankings weren't very good. One of the worst that they have had in a long time. Trailing the Frogs, of course, in first place. But you would have to make a change. And obviously they just don't want to fire him because they know that their alumni is going to be up their ass about firing Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
So, hey, we want to fire you, but you could take this way out so we don't have to look bad in firing you. It's a lose-lose for both sides at this point in time. We do have 9 conference championships this weekend, even though there are 10 conferences. One of them already played their championship game a couple of weeks ago. Oregon State beat Washington State in the Pac-2 championship. That was a joke. 3 games tonight. Conference USA's championship game will be played in Jacksonville, Alabama. Jacksonville State will take on West Kentucky. They're favored by 4 over the Hilltoppers, 4 o'clock on CBS. Mountain West championship game is very interesting. And if San Diego State had a good year this year, in any other realm, if this happened 5 years ago, they'd be playing for a playoff spot because the winner of UNLV and Boise State will be the highest ranked group of 5 or group of 6 conference winner. And they would be the 5th best conference champion, and they will be in the college football playoff. Boise State is hosting this game at Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho, favored by 4.5. UNLV wins, they're in. Boise State wins, they're in. This is a playoff play-in game tonight at 5 o'clock on Fox. Should be a good one there. The Army Black Knights have only played 11 games this year because they play Navy next week in the traditional Army-Navy game. They're playing game 12 tonight in the American Athletic Championship against Tulane, and it will be at Michie Stadium at West Point, New York. So West Point's hosting a conference championship game tonight at 5 on ABC. Army at 10-1, 24 in the country. Probably not enough with a win to sneak into the college football playoff, but they will have Navy next week. So let's see if they can win the American Athletic Championship. There will be games tomorrow. Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship from Jerry's World. Arizona State against Iowa State in the 15-16 matchup in the country. Ohio plays Miami in the MAC. Georgia and Texas SEC Championship game in Atlanta. I wonder who will have more fans at that game. Marshall at Louisiana in the Sun Belt Championship at Cajun Field in Lafayette, Louisiana. Penn State plays Oregon State in the Big Ten Championship. Tell that to somebody 20 years ago at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And the ACC Championship will be Clemson and SMU from Charlotte, North Carolina. Most expensive ticket this weekend is the SEC game. What do you think the price is? Just to get in. To the SEC game.
200 something?
Oh, no, way less.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
40?
A little bit higher?
60?
$18 more.
78?
$78 to get into
You were going to get there eventually.
the Georgia
What's
Texas
the
game.
specific
That
number?
is the most expensive ticket out of the conference championship games. For $22, you can get into the Big 12 championship game at Jerry's World. For $19, you can watch Penn State play Oregon in the Big 10 championship game. $42 for Clemson and SMU in Charlotte. Major problems with conference championship games still being relevant in this day and age of college football, where it's like both schools are going to make the playoff. Why am I going to spend money to go to Indianapolis so I can wait and go to a playoff game the week after? Very interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see how that plays out in the next coming weeks of college football realignment and everything like that. High school football tonight. Got some good games throughout the county. We have 2 games tonight. 6 teams for San Diego will be in the state regional playoffs. This is how this works. In order to make it to the state final, you have to make it through a regional game. So all 6 of our teams have a chance to make a state championship with one more win. They will be the SoCal champion for their division. And then next week, if they make it through this week, they will play in the state championship games against an opponent from Northern California. Tonight, this game will be on Spectrum Sportsnet LA. I think it's the channel that the Lakers are usually on, maybe the Dodgers, can't remember, but it will be on Spectrum Sportsnet LA. Lincoln hosts Newberry Park in the Division I AA playoffs tonight at 8. The game is at 8 o'clock, not a traditional 7, but an 8 o'clock kickoff time for TV. That game will be at Southwestern College tonight for the Division I AA playoffs.
That's so late. Is that TV?
TV.
Yeah.
Second highest ranked division in the state of California. The Open is De La Salle versus Mater Dei up in Santa Ana. But the next level, Newberry Park and Lincoln. Newberry Park is 14-0. They have a 66.7 rating on CalPreps. It's very, very good. Lincoln's favored by 1 according to CalPreps.com. Got some good quarterback play tonight. Brady Schmiegel and his brother Bo Schmiegel, the two sons of the head coach, Coach Schmiegel at Newberry Park. Brady Schmiegel, the quarterback, 6'5", 205-pound, 4-star junior, committed to Florida State, dueling it out with Achilles Smith Jr., who is a senior, 6'5", 200, 4-star, signed his letter of intent this week with Oregon. Should be a good quarterback matchup for Newberry Park and Lincoln tonight. Other game tonight, Silverado will be at El Cap. Silverado is from Victorville, California. They're the 260th best team in the state of California. El Cap is 306. That game will be at 7:30 out in Lakeside, so you can go out there and support the El Cap Vaqueros tonight. Those are the two games tonight. There are 4 games tomorrow. Most of them, I think half of them are on the road, if I'm not mistaken. Granite Hills will go up to Edison to take on the Chargers. Edison's ranked pretty high in California. They are ranked, I had it right here for a second, 18th in the state of California. Granite Hills is 34th. 56 rating for Edison. Relatively around the same spot Cathedral was in terms of their CalPreps rating, so it should be a tough game for Granite Hills. Interesting note, Edison's running back, Julius Gillick, who is committed to Montana, got his offer pulled the night before signing day.
Oh.
So he's not going to Montana now. So that was kind of weird, but that happened. And that will be the case for tomorrow, 7 o'clock. That game will be at Huntington Beach High School, not Edison. Poway will be hosting Rio Hondo Prep out of Arcadia in the Division 3A playoffs. That's a 6 o'clock start tomorrow at Poway. St. Pius X, St. Matthias Academy will host St. Augustine at 6 o'clock. This one's fun because St. Pius X, St. Matthias, 1-9 this year in the regular season. St. Augustine went 0-10. They're both one game away from going to a state championship. And the last one for you, Pasadena will come down to take on Monte Vista. Monte Vista now with a single-season rushing record holder in Alexander Villanueva in the section of San Diego. He'll be taking on Pasadena, 6 o'clock tomorrow night, 6A playoffs. And that is a wrap for all the football news going into this weekend.
Your 12 o'clock Sports Fix Weekend Preview Edition. It was voluminous and fulsome, and yet still satisfying. Let's take a time out. When we come back, John Flint, who has had a very, 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 very long day.
And it's not over.
And night and day with hours to go.
We had less than 7 hours left.
He is waiting outside. We're going to take a time out. We're going to catch up on what's going on with the radiothon to benefit St. Jude. And we're back with that after this. Annie and Elsten on the Fan. Don't let AI dictate your fantasy lineup. Instead, get bite-sized fantasy football analysis in your ears by listening to the Sleeper King podcast. As soon as John just hears the word sleeper, it just triggers all sorts of things. Well, this one would just give you fantasy insight in 20 minutes. So nothing involving a sleeper bed or actually sleeping. It's the Sleeper King podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. From the John and Tammy Show on KSON, John Flint joining us once again in studio with what? We got 6.5 hours left in the radiothon?
Wow, that actually sounds great. Thank you. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so,
I
right?
don't-
You
I
go
don't
till
even-
7?
What time is it? Yeah, that's 12. You're right. Okay, it's a home stretch. It's a home stretch. Guys, thank you again for having me on. This means so much to so many families right now who can't even talk about a future with their kid because that scares the hell out of them because they might not have a future with their kid. Kids right now who are in beds at Rady Children's who are using protocol that's developed and then freely shared by the geniuses and then the angels, frankly, at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We're in the second day of our 37-hour broadcast called the KSO and St. Jude Country Cares for Kids Radiothon. Anytime you guys feel me just kind of fade out, just jump on in, okay?
How many hours have you been going?
Well, we started at 6 o'clock yesterday morning. Now I'll have a break here at 1 till 2, and so what's that?
About 31 hours.
Yeah. So it's it's what it is, and then I'll sleep Sunday. I got to work tomorrow, believe it or not. But we got a show tomorrow, a big concert tomorrow. So it's a big party tomorrow. But today we're still settling on getting business done. And again, I'm so blessed to have 2 children who are healthy and are normal, and they're not kooks and they're not sick. And I don't even know what I would do if I heard that news when my daughters were young, that we got to get them to a hospital right now because that bruise is not a bruise, it's blood cancer, and your whole life changes. And especially you think to yourself, this is gonna financially ruin me. I don't have the money to pay for cancer treatments. You know how much federal funding goes to pediatric care research? Not a lot of money. Okay, it's very, very life-ruining expensive. But not for St. Jude patients. And because everything that's discovered at St. Jude is freely shared with the world, and no patient is ever asked to pay a cent at St. Jude. It's just so hard to wrap your mind around that fact because healthcare is so expensive, but not with St. Jude. And that's not just the care. It's the patient's families. It's this they think of everything. They've got a salon, Annie, for all the little teenage girls that have no hair.
Sure.
You think about babies being sick. You think about little infants being sick. But how about the teenagers? Girls who are already having a hard enough time growing up. It's not easy being a teenager.
And how self-conscious you might feel and how different you might feel. Absolutely.
They've got schools there. They've got schools not only for the patients, but for the brothers and sisters of the patients. Everything is thought of. And it's just, I've had the opportunity to be in the walls of St. Jude Hospital many times, thankfully as just a tourist. But I'm so thankful that I'm a partner in hope. And that's what we're asking for because if I ever needed that insurance policy, I knew I could cash it in with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So think about it that way. An insurance policy that you'll hopefully never, ever, ever need. But if you do, thank God it's around. You can be a partner in hope right now. Just please take a minute. It literally, as Craig alluded to yesterday, he proved it yesterday. It takes a couple minutes. You're done. Text KIDS, KIDS, to the number 785-833. That's KIDS to 785-833. Now, I know what you're asking. Are you against doing any stunts to raise some money? And I'll tell you right now, I'm not.
That's exactly what I was actually thinking about,
What
John.
stunts have you done in the past?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Annie, you
Okay.
just walked right into that, didn't you? Just give me 1 second here.
I
I'm
feel
going
like
to
you're
show
going that
you.
direction.
I'm going to show you one of the stunts we pulled in the past. This is something that we did just a few years ago. As we'll literally, if you want, can you show it to the camera?
I can show. Absolutely.
We'll do anything for the kids of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Include Tammy, who looks beautiful and bald. I look like I work at a leather bar in Hillcrest, but it doesn't matter.
That's handlebar mustache and the
That's what we did.
mohawk.
We got
solid.
Matt, yeah, we just said, well, you tell us what you want us to do with our hair, and we'll do it for you for a huge donation. And we got that donation. And look at Tammy's; she's got a good bald head, doesn't she?
Yeah,
looks
she looks
great.
great.
I know.
Not everyone can pull it off.
I
but
know.
She does.
I look like I'm waiting for the rest of the village people to show up.
Well, nonetheless, I think it's not a bad look for you, John.
I
I
know.
should do it again.
The best part about that is the next day, I took my daughters to Wicked, and they were playing on Broadway, San Diego. My daughter said, "I will not sit next to you unless you put a hat on." So I had to put a hat on. But I mean, I had that moment with my daughters. I have moments with my daughters now. I mentioned my daughter will be here at the end of our big celebration tonight as we get the final tally of the results of our 2 days of hard work. I'm so blessed to have my daughters with me in my life, and I just want you, if you've been touched by cancer, if you've been touched by any trauma with your child and they've gotten through it, to thank whoever you want to thank for that, text kids to 785-833. Yesterday, guys, and if I'm monopolizing anything, please just tell me to shut up.
It's all good.
But yesterday, we had a woman call up. Her dad died the day before. The day before. I lost my dad a couple years ago, so this one hit me real close to home. And for whatever random reason, her dad said to her, "I'd like you to make a donation to St. Jude in my name." She had no idea the radiothon was going on. The day after her father's dying, she turns on her car to drive somewhere, hits on KSON. Here's the St. Jude radiothon. She's like, "Dad, let's make this happen right now." Called us up to tell us this story. And we get countless stories like this. People who have lost a child. Later on this afternoon, we're going to have my dear friend Liz from Carlsbad, where I live. She's not only a neighbor and a dear friend now, but she lost her daughter Claire, who would have been 20 years old this week. Now, I would think, as any parent would, if that happened to my child, I would want to dig a hole and crawl in that hole and never be heard from again. I would want to escape anything that had to do with my daughter being in any kind of pain, let alone dying. She comes back every year. She answers the phones. She volunteers her time. She keeps the legacy and the memory of her daughter alive.
That's amazing.
It's absolutely amazing, and it tells you what St. Jude is all about. Everybody that I've ever talked to that's been a part of St. Jude, whether they've got a child that's been saved by St. Jude or they lost a child to St. Jude, still will do anything for St. Jude because they bought their daughter time. One more story, and I'm going to ask you to donate, and then I'm going to go get something to eat. There's something every fall called the St. Jude Country Cares Seminar, where we go out to Memphis and we learn where all the donations are going to, what their money. People want to know where their money is going, especially nowadays. So we learn and we tour the hospital and we hear stories, and there's beautiful keynote speakers, and it's a party, but it's also very important and very sad and touching and wonderful and warm at times. Man gets up on stage and he says, "I would like to introduce you to my daughter," and the place goes crazy. Everyone's clapping and everyone's standing up, and then everyone stops and he goes, "But I can't."
Oh, God.
And she had passed a few years ago, but there he is on stage working his magic so we can go out and do what we're doing here with our big mouths and making sure that no father has to go out and do that again. So I hope I'm pulling on the right heartstrings here. It's because I'm not trying to be over dramatic. I'm not trying to be like, "Oh, I want your money." I'm trying to do this because we're all human beings. And if there's one thing we can agree on in this very divided world, is that kids who can't live past their parents, that should never happen. Kids dying as kids should never happen. I don't care how much money you make, who you voted for, where you live. Cancer does not discriminate. That's the one thing we've all got in common. So if you, for whatever reason that you need, please text kids to 785-833 and think of those kids right now at Rady Children's who are being treated from protocols developed at St. Jude in Memphis, and how they're feeling this Christmas season and how much they're depending on you to have a Christmas next year.
You know, John, my dad heard you on the air yesterday and heard our segment and texted me after the show, and he said, "I'm now up to a $41 a month donation to St. Jude. They keep asking me to contribute, and I do so because a fellow I taught with, his granddaughter had a form of leukemia and went to St. Jude. She's now an adult with at least 2 children, and all due to the research and work they do at St. Jude."
I'm so appreciative that you told me that, Craig. Thank you. If you guys go back to our sound space, and I really encourage you to do so, because you saw how pretty and beautiful it is, and there's volunteers working, and things are happening. There's a ton of food, too, by the way, Braden. But there's a beautiful, tall, blonde girl. She's 19 years old. Her name is Paisley. Tam and I have known Paisley since we've been a morning show here in San Diego, because Paisley is a cancer survivor. She was so sick when we first met her. She's a St. Jude patient from Oceanside whose mom spent well over, I think, 2 years with her in Memphis, just the two of them getting through this together. They're still very tight, but Paisley is So far, so good. Her scans go. She goes back to St. Jude every year, and she'll be invited to go back to St. Jude for the rest of her life. So they can
Wow.
keep her to study her and examine her and hopefully make cures out of what they did to keep her alive. That's another great part about St. Jude. And you talk to Paisley, who's volunteering today as part of St. Jude. She loves going back every year, even though that test could come back with the worst news.
Yeah.
Now, her mom, at the other hand, not as much. I mean, she loves going back, but there's also that anxiety. Oh, God, what happens
Sure,
with these scans? But Paisley's like, no, man, I got it. I know I'm going to get it. I see my friends there. It's not a hospital, guys. It's not a hospital. So I love your guys' show. I love this radio station. I am a tier one, as the boys in the morning say. But and I really appreciate you putting me on to talk about this. It's so important. But it's not just important to us. It's anybody with a kid or a pulse or a heart. It should be important too.
We have a comment in the chat. His name is Doomslayer, but he said he had an open heart at 6 months, again at 12 years old, and 2 pacemaker surgeries. He's only 37. He says Children's Hospital was the best. I mean,
Beautiful.
You never forget it. It's a community you don't want to be part of,
Right.
but when you are, you never forget the
Right.
support and the care.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Slayer.
Yes.
Appreciate you, John. Again,
Thanks for your
text
comment, Doom.
kids, KIDS, to 785-833. Go get some calories, buddy.
Yes,
I
load it up.
The
I appreciate you
countdown is
guys.
And
on.
thanks for all you're doing. I mean, you guys are
Absolutely.
doing an amazing job.
Absolutely.
I will not accept thank you. This is what I was born to do. I got a big mouth, so I got to use it. Love you guys. Happy holidays.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
Appreciate you,
holidays.
John. Back at you. Let's take a time out. When we come back, final segment of the hour, and that means it's time for silly games. We got one more silly game to play before we do the drawing amidst everyone who has qualified over the course of the last 4 weeks for a 2-night stay at Westgate, Las Vegas, 2 tickets to Sola Motown, $150 food and beverage credit. That means we're playing a silly game, and today it's Anybody Knows, the game of crazy easy trivia, where you got to take on Annie and either tie or beat her in 10 questions. So, where's the ball? Where's the ball?
Your ding dong.
Yeah, I need my ding dong
There
back.
you go.
We lost the bow and the ding dong.
The bow.
Hang on, it's still here.
No, there. Craig
There
had
it
the
is.
bow, just didn't have the ding dong.
Lines are open.
Thank you for that.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Give us a ring during the break. Braden's going to screen a contestant. We're coming back. We're playing Anybody Knows next on The Fan. Got to press the on button. That's right. The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino features newly designed premier rooms, part of their $70 million room renovations, home of legendary Vegas fun. The award-winning Soul of Motown is a high-energy concert-style musical tribute celebrating Motown legends, a must-see show during your Las Vegas vacation getaway. Tickets are available at westgateresorts.com. But right now, it's time for our final silly game of the week. Craig and Braden in studio. Annie is outside the studio right now because it's time to play the game of crazy easy trivia known as Anybody Knows. Who we got as a contestant today, Braden?
I had to get the camera out of my face. That thing was...
That was like extreme close-up.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go with Steven in Oceanside.
All right. Hello, Steven. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you guys?
Doing well. Tell us just a little bit about yourself before we play today's game.
I'm a quality control, quality assurance inspector for fiber optic build up here in Oceanside.
Nice.
Enjoying the sun every day and listening to you folks.
Appreciate you, man. Well, today you get to play Anybody Knows. This is a fun game, and here's how it works. Braden has a question from the game we bought that has 10 questions on it, 10 trivia questions.
You have to make that clear because people think I come up with these questions.
That is correct. No, we bought this at Barnes & Noble is what happened. But Braden's got the card. Nonetheless, it's got 10 trivia questions on it. He's going to read you those 10 questions, Stephen. And at the end of his first question, 60 seconds begins, and you'll have a chance to answer as many of those 10 in the time frame correctly as you can. Then Annie will come in. Not having heard your part of it, she'll get the same 10 questions and try and give the same answers, and whoever has the most wins. If you tie or beat Annie, you're qualified. Now, the one catch to this game, Stephen, all the questions are easy. Like, they're designed to be almost deceptively simple. So try not to outthink yourself, and you'll probably do great. I wish you best of luck, and turn things over to our quiz master in charge, Braden Soprano.
All right, Stephen, 1 minute on the clock as I ask you the first question. Try to get as many of these as possible. You will qualify. Question number 1. Which U.S. coin features Thomas Jefferson?
Oh, which U.S. coin features Thomas Jefferson? I don't know. Thomas Jefferson.
Yep, he's on.
You can skip and you can get back to it if you have more time.
Yeah. Oh, the nickel.
The nickel is
There you
correct.
go.
What color is a clementine?
Pink.
Clementine is orange. How many dots are there in total on a 6-sided die?
Got it.
6.
How many dots on a 6-sided die?
Yeah, 12.
Answer's 20.
21.
21?
Yes.
21.
6 plus 5 plus 4 plus
They
3
all
plus 2 plus 1.
they all equal. I'll tell you in a second.
Oh, on the die.
Yeah.
On the die.
Okay.
Both
Yeah.
sides of the face
Yeah,
equals
21, you're
7.
right,
There's
you're right.
3 of them.
All right. That was a hard question.
It is.
Continuing.
What Great Lake starts with E?
Lake Erie.
Lake Erie
Yes,
is
sir.
correct. Who wrote the theory of relativity?
Oh God, the guy in the wheelchair. Can't think of his name. The E equals MC squared.
Yeah,
that's
oh,
that
that's
guy.
Albert Einstein.
Albert
There he is.
Einstein. How many inches are in a yard?
36.
36 is correct. In what Olympic sport does Forrest Gump represent the United States?
Long distance running.
It'd be ping pong.
Oh, that's right. He was in ping pong.
Oh.
That's right.
How many
That's right, it was
valves
ping pong.
does a trumpet have?
How many valves?
Valves.
3.
3 is correct. What is the Heimlich maneuver used for?
To stop somebody from choking.
Correct. Last question.
Who won the Thrilla in Manila?
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali is correct.
All right. 7 out of 10, Stephen. We'll see if it holds up. Put you on hold. Stay right there.
That was a moderately difficult.
I agree. Well, I think certainly the dots question you have to
Yes.
really think through.
Yes.
Okay. Not the easiest card of Anybody Knows.
Not the hardest either.
Not the hardest either.
Oh, no.
You're facing Steven in Oceanside.
All right, Steven.
His score is done, and it is your turn. Good luck, Annie.
All right, 1 minute on the clock. Which U.S. coin features Thomas Jefferson on it?
Remember when you had coins in your pocket?
Yeah, I was
I
going to say,
don't.
when was the last time you saw a coin?
A quarter.
That'd be George Washington.
Yeah,
Thomas
Washington's
Jefferson's
on
on the nickel.
On the nickel.
That was
What
my next
color
choice.
is a clementine?
Orange.
Orange.
Correct.
Why'd you take so long to say orange?
No, I thought it was a trick.
Orange.
Orange.
No, we were looking for orange.
Orange.
How many dots?
Aren't you glad to see me?
Yeah, we psyched her out on the difficulty.
I
But
know.
here's the most difficult question: how many dots are there in total on a 6-sided die? So all the dots. If you count all the dots on a die, how many dots would you have?
Dots on a die?
Mm-hmm.
How many dots are on a die?
Yeah.
Mhm.
On a
Total.
6-sided die. Total.
22?
Close. 21.
Very
Dang
close.
it.
Very
21.
close.
I'm tired of the math on it. Anybody knows.
I was
Anybody
told there
knows
were no
has
math.
no
Yeah.
math.
There's
Yeah, this
There's
is
still
that's
another
one
Greg's
coming.
games.
There's another one coming.
What Great Lake starts with the letter E?
Lake Erie?
Lake Erie is
Correct.
correct. Who wrote The Theory of Relativity?
Einstein.
Einstein is correct. How many inches are in a yard?
This is the last math, I promise.
12 inches or a foot, right?
Right.
How many feet in a yard?
20 feet in a yard. How many inches are in a yard? 72.
36.
Okay.
36. 3 feet in a yard.
Well, what are you going to do?
And what Olympic sport does Forrest Gump represent the United States?
Track and field.
Everybody assumes that because he runs. It's ping pong.
He played
Was
ping
it
pong.
He
ping
played
pong?
ping pong.
Yeah, he played
That
ping
was
pong.
the
Oh my
ping pong
gosh,
era.
now I
Beat the
remember.
China.
Remember, he was doing
Chinese
that
guy.
in Vietnam, and
All I-
then
yes, you're right.
I guess I could do this
Now
for a
I think of
living.
him running. Right.
How many valves does a trumpet have?
How many valves?
Valves.
Yeah.
Not vowels.
Things you
Valves.
press on the top.
9.
That's a hell of an instrument, Annie. It'd
Be
be
a lot
three.
of valves.
You don't have enough fingers for that.
Not enough fingers.
What is the
You put
Heimlich
it with
maneuver
two
used
two
for?
hands, don't you?
Yeah, but you hold it with one hand.
I thought both hands are doing what's
Then you do the 3 on the top.
Well,
You-
both hands can be busy.
What's the? Oh, okay. Heimlich maneuver. What's it used for?
Heimlich maneuver. To somebody who's choking?
Yes.
Yay.
Who won the Thriller in Manila?
Oh my God. Wasn't that in Detroit?
No,
No, it was in
Manila's
Manila.
Manila is in
The Philippines.
Philippines.
Manila, Philippines.
Thriller, Manila,
Thriller
Philippines.
in Manila.
I have no idea.
That'd be Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad.
Oh, wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7-4, Stephen. You are the winner today.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Way to go, buddy. That was not an easy card. That
No,
was
it
not an
wasn't.
easy card. So when we call it ridiculously easy trivia, maybe false advertising on that one. Nonetheless, Steven, stay right there. We're going to get your information during the break, buddy. And congratulations, you're our last qualifier. So next week, if you get a call, it'll be good news. I promise.
All right.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for listening. Hang out.
Anyway, there's on the die question, both sides of the die equals 7.
That's a great point by
3
Shota.
times.
Yep.
So it's 3 times
Yep.
7 is 21.
That's right, because you've got the 6 opposite the 1.
Yeah.
You have the
You
5
got the 5
opposite the
and the 4 opposite the 3.
yes.
So 21.
Too, so it's 21.
Hold on, let me pull something out of my pocket.
You got a
pull
nickel.
out. I
There
don't
used
care.
to literally be a die.
care.
I don't care.
Thrilla in Manila is the more disturbing one there. What am I
Muhammad
thinking
Ali.
of in Detroit?
I don't
There's
know,
something
but
else that
Manila's
happened.
not
Joe
in
Louis
Detroit.
was in
That's
Detroit.
true. I don't know. I don't know why I'm
Hour
thinking
number
that.
4 of the show. After this. Welcome back. Final hour of the week for Annie and Elsten. Hope you guys have a great weekend lined up for yourself.
Craig has been replaced by stockings hung by the side with
Hung
care.
by the chimney with care. In hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. Well, here I am. Sorry. Would you prefer the...
The snowman stockings?
I mean, it's up to you.
I don't know. Well,
up
both
to you.
hands could be busy, you know.
We realized in the break that I was thinking of Malice at the Palace.
Yes.
Which was
Basketball
also a fight, a famous
It was.
fight.
Yes.
A slightly
Just
different
not
fight.
the fight of Ali, right?
Not
No.
scheduled.
And
It wasn't
not
actually a
scheduled.
scheduled fight.
It
And,
wasn't a sanctioned fight in Michigan.
What should have keyed me in was Manila.
Yeah.
Yes, that
Manila.
would be
There's
the-
not Manila, Detroit, Manila.
Didn't mean in a folder. It was
No.
it was actually in the Philippines. That is
Anyways.
so fun. I love anybody.
That was
It
not a
just,
sanctioned fight.
It just goes downhill, guys.
It was more of a Jake Paul fight.
Yeah, a little bit, slightly.
Why doesn't he fight Meta World Peace?
Don't give him any ideas.
Ron Artest.
Don't
but-
tempt him with a good time.
But you got to set it up like a stadium like that so you can run into the stands. That was a wild thing. I remember
That
watching that as a
was.
kid, going like, what is happening right
It's
now?"
still wild today to look at.
Artest gets
Yeah.
hit with the with the beer. He goes in the stands. Was that Ben Wallace? So who's the Wallace guy?
yeah, I think Ben Wallace. Yeah.
With his fro, he's out there laying haymakers.
That was a night in the NBA. Ron Artest, pre-world peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, he quickly
Can you
flipped
imagine
it.
if that was like today's game? I mean, it couldn't go viral then. There was no.
Right.
I know that was
Viral
that
for
was
it, right, pre-social
2004.
Yeah.
Wasn't that when the Pistons were like good?
Yes.
No, they were like really good. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
this-
they were
that
going
was
to the
when the
finals
Pistons
and
were
stuff.
terrific. Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing up against the Pacers, and Artest in the stands. That was 2019, or sorry, November 19th, 2004.
Geez, we just passed the 20-year
I know.
anniversary.
Surprised we
Wow.
didn't see a documentary, or maybe there
There's-
was one.
They made an entire Wikipedia page out of it.
Oh, okay.
With the
Yeah.
box score and everything. Like they have the background, they have the actual fight, they have the actual fight part of the page is like it's like 2 pages long. And then they have the charges. It says charges and it has all the suspensions in the NBA with the arrests of the fans and stuff like that. Ron Artest got suspended for the rest of the season and lost $5 million doing that in 2004. Steven Jackson, 30-game suspension. Jermaine O'Neal, 15-game suspension. Originally set at 25, reduced on appeal. Jermaine O'Neal lost $4 million in suspension time. Steven Jackson lost $1.7 million. Ben Wallace got 6 games. Anthony Johnson got 5. Reggie Miller got a game. Reggie Miller was in that game.
Yeah.
Chauncey Billups got a game. Derek Coleman got a game. Eldon Campbell got a game. David Harrison did not get any suspension. I don't know why he's listed on there. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts.
Oh my God! Imagine the memes. Imagine the TikToks. Imagine
Oh,
the.
yeah.
Oh my God! They got the full box score. Ron Artest that night, 2 for 5 from 3, 7 for 19 from the field. Played 42 minutes. Guy was tired, man. Guy was tired. Shot 36% from the field.
He didn't want to hear it at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He finished the game with 24 points. The guys that finished the game with the most points had the highest suspensions with Ron Artest and Jermaine O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal had 20 that night. That would be like the interview, like we had like Mike Schilder. Hey, I know I jumped in the stands, but like I did score 24 points.
Yeah, hey.
Nobody's. Why isn't anybody asking me about the game I had tonight?
It's funny. All you guys want to focus on the negative. No one wants to talk about the 24 points.
I dropped 24 on their ass. I don't
5
know why.
rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal.
I dropped 24 on their ass and beat up that fan that threw a beer at my face.
Meanwhile, Thrilla in Manila, 1975, and had 1 billion viewers.
Yeah.
1975.
1975.
I mean, obviously, Ali, greatest of all time there, but still, that also would have been very viral. I mean, that's no Logan Paul kind of fight. You know?
No.
That's the actual thing, the real deal.
Rasheed Wallace had 19 points in that game.
Here's some baseball stories for you guys. Quick reset on the show. John Heyman did a podcast last hour. Shocker.
Well, he is in the media. What else do you want him to do?
No, it's fine. Do your show.
Is it his show or somebody else's show?
I think it was on his own show, but
He has his
nonetheless,
own show.
I'm just finding this on the tweet that his, and remember, anything John Heyman says, you can usually, if you look carefully at the back of his jacket, see the fingers of Scott Boras up there, manipulating his puppet. He says that now every team in the Soto sweepstakes, except LA, has crossed $700 million for Juan Soto.
That's ridiculous. You're telling me he's going to make
$700
so
million.
high.
You're telling me he's going to make more money than Shohei Ohtani? I mean, what
I
are we
am telling
doing?
you that.
This
I'm
is
telling
like
you that.
this
And
is
I
like the
guess-
real estate market in California right now. It's like, are we really paying that much for that right now?
How many years do you think that is?
15.
Yeah, I mean, it
25.
would have to. I would think so.
35 years.
He's 26, so I think
Allegedly.
he's gonna sign a 15-year contract. I think he will, and I
Get
think
himself to 40, 41.
41.
Yeah.
Get himself to 41, and I furthermore think, with absolutely no basis in knowledge, this is just my thoughts. I furthermore think that he's either going to sign a 15-year contract that has an ironclad, no trade, no cut situation, or he's going to sign a 12-year contract with an opt-out after 5 years. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be one or the other.
I think depends on the team, right?
Yeah, that too. Oh, he won't sign a Blue Jays deal without an opt-out.
Oh, I know, 100%.
Like if the Jays
Blue
offered
Jays
him
are
$1 billion,
Right, they're supposedly in on him.
yeah, he would say, "Cool, opt-out." You know, cool. That sounds great. Opt-out.
Yeah.
Imagine like just thinking about that type of contract 10, 15 years ago. And he's like, well, he's a 285 career hitter. You'd be like, what? What?
Here's the thing that drives me not crazy. Baseball's baseball. Owners are owners. If they want to spend the money, they're going to spend the money. There's only
You're worth what somebody's willing to pay.
basically
Yeah.
4 teams that can afford to go crazy. I don't know what Toronto's doing. Maybe they're planning to nationalize an industry to pay for Juan Soto. I don't know.
the
but-
entire country of Canada.
Yeah.
Got taxes raised to pay for Soto.
People in Vancouver will be paying,
That's right. Wait a minute.
taxes.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Heyman says all but one team is willing to go over 700 million. And that's the Dodgers are the only team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, wait
Which
a minute.
makes sense, yeah.
We already have a $700 million
Right.
player, and he can pitch. I don't
and
know
how
what
much
I'm
of this is
doing.
deferred, Juan?
Could you imagine if the Dodgers signed him for more than what they signed Ohtani for?
That'd
You'd
be
like-
kind of funny,
You'd be
actually.
like, well, this guy's more valuable than you, Shohei. Sorry.
And none of it deferred. And Soto just shows up in full bling,
Yeah,
just in a
right.
fur coat into spring training like, hey, Shohei,
That's right.
how you doing?
His bonus would be like $200 million.
And so we're
How's
at
it feel to be second priciest on the team?
That's right.
Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and maybe the Dodgers. Any chance that it's some unknown team?
No chance.
No chance. Yeah, I agree.
No chance.
That thing,
Yeah.
that contract is going to age like whole milk on a hot day. I mean, that is like. 'Cause
Well,
he's-
here's the thing.
There's so many things like he doesn't do, and he's
Right.
not good
Well, you've
at.
got to be able to still get the rest of your team where you need it to be. I mean, he's not going
Right.
to carry the entire
I mean,
team.
he's legit. I mean, he's a really good
course,
player.
he's a
Like,
great
none of us
player.
think he's not one of the best top
Offensive.
5 players
Offensive
in Major
players.
League Baseball, but he doesn't play defense well.
He is a bad defensive
He's going
outfielder.
to be a DH in the future. That is a lot of money for a DH when he's 32.
And he's a horrible base runner.
Yeah.
Like a really bad base runner with mystifyingly bad decisions from time to time. He's a very tentative outfielder who has always kind of been like that. I don't want to get hurt. Don't dive. I'm not saying it in a negative way. Just he's not a guy who's out there making aggressive plays.
This guy's going to
in the
turn
outfield.
into Giancarlo Stanton, but be a better hitter.
I mean, yeah, you want him on your team. He needs to go to a team that can afford that kind of money and then still afford to shape the rest of the roster the way that they need it. It does no good to have Juan Soto if you can't get the rest of the roster up to par.
I just keep thinking of Giancarlo's contract with the Marlins. And when he signed that, everybody's like, what are you doing? And then they
Right.
traded him to New York, and you're like, and then he like never makes it through a year. Juan Soto's a way better hitter than Giancarlo, but
Way better.
he's still like in the same realm of like he's not going to get around the bases and he can't field. He's going to be a DH.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do this. I mean, we don't know which one of these teams is going to sign. And if Steve Cohen wants to spend $700 million on Juan Soto, anyone who spends $700 million on Juan Soto, that's an overpay. I mean, by definition, it's an overpay because the best two-way player, arguably the best player in the history of baseball, got $700 million.
Boris is like, inflation.
Right. But Soto is literally half the player Ohtani is. He's got the bat Ohtani does. They're about the same defensively. Ohtani doesn't play defense at all, and Soto plays defense, but not well. Ohtani is by light years a better base runner than Juan Soto. Juan Soto has the best eye, maybe in Major League history. So He's got that. He's got power. He's got staying ability. At the end of his career, he'll probably hit over 600 homers, maybe 700. At the end of his career, he'll set the major league record in walks. He'll probably set the major league record for runs scored. Like, Juan Soto is an incredible offensive talent. But Braden, I'm with you, man. The idea of 32-year-old Juan Soto, career DH, and you're just throwing out $65-70 million a year.
Any of these long-term contracts, anyone, these 10, 15-year contracts, they are always so risky. How do you know?
I mean, but I think he's going to be able to. I think he's going to be able to keep up his hitting, and he's got a good eye. I mean, like, at the very least, he's going to find ways to get on base, which is a very valuable asset. But I don't know if it's worth $65 million, compared to everything else. And then you think about the teams. All right, so who's in on this? The Red Sox, the Yankees, the Mets. They say the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. Are those the 5 teams? Anybody else I'm missing?
Sorry.
No, you got it.
Yeah,
I think
you
those
got
are
Two
the
New
5,
York
right?
teams.
Well, let
The
me
Mets,
ask you this.
Yankees,
Let me ask
Sox,
you this
Blue Jays,
question,
yeah,
right? The end goal for
Dodgers.
everybody is to what? Win the
World Series, right?
How many World Series would you have to win during his contract to justify the $700 million? How many World Series do you have to win? 2, 3? If you want,
But if you're front office, you might say, okay, we're getting in the playoffs, we're filling the seats.
so when his career
right?
ends, and you got 3 World Series over those 15 years, is it worth it paying the $700 million for an organization? On the field wise,
Soto is not his own economic engine.
he's not like Shohei.
He's not
so
like
it's
Shohei, right.
so you have to think about it from an on-field result. So you're paying all this guy all this money, not for marketing. Shohei's a different animal. He's all about marketing, and you're going to make a ton of money off that guy. You're buying his name, image, and likeness
Right.
when you sign that deal.
That is
and
right.
everything on the field is extra. Juan Soto is all about on the field, right? He's one of the best players in Major League Baseball, and for what he brings your team, how many World Series do you need during that 15-year contract to justify more than $700 million?
Well, you need at least one in the first 5 years. That's for damn sure.
I mean, that is the thing with Ohtani. You read and you hear now about all the money he's brought into the Dodgers, and will probably continue to bring that in, and that allows them to then go out and replenish pieces of their team that they need, and or put that money aside for his contract. So it's kind of like he's, it's exactly right, Braden. He's the name, image, and likeness. That's what they bought. But you're right. You're not going to get those same sponsorships or that same
Not even close.
money.
No.
It's not the same type of deal.
If they won
apples and motorcycles.
Yeah.
if it's the
not
Red
even the same.
Sox or the Blue Jays or the Yankees or I don't really think the Dodgers are that in on this. The fact that they've gone north of $700 million, or the Mets. I mean, if you win one World Series every 5 years of this contract, you win 3 when he's done.
That's worth it.
I think it's worth it. If you win 2, I think you could be like, well, did we need to spend $700 million to get these 2, or could we get it on a cheaper route? If they only win 1, I mean, it's just it's a total waste of money because, again, he doesn't bring the same marketing standpoint that Shohei Ohtani does. So thinking about it from a Padres perspective, which I know they're not in, but if the Padres did this and they signed him, let's just say they didn't have those other contracts. I know this is hypothetical, but let's say the Padres are in the same situation as these other 5 teams financially. How many World Series would you have to see out of Juan Soto for to justify the $700 million?
If we were in the same position as the Dodgers and the Yankees financially,
Let's say the Blue Jays.
I would. Okay,
The
perfect.
Blue Jays are probably the closest
Perfect.
to us, right?
How are the Blue Jays always in this?
Because they
They're
like to
Canada's
be.
team.
Well, they also
Toronto's the biggest city in Canada.
They also
I mean,
like having their name involved, make it look like they're doing something.
Yeah.
But-
They've got money. They've got resources. They've got their, the Rogers deal. Yeah, it's not paying them the same way the Spectrum deal is, but I mean, they've got a reliable nationwide broadcast network. I mean, their local TV is all of Canada because people in Manitoba don't have a team to follow. They'll follow the Blue Jays,
But out of those 5, all 5 of those teams have their own network.
Correct.
So out of those 5 teams, who's the poorest?
I
the
guess.
Blue Jays?
I guess Toronto. And if I was in that position, if we had Toronto's money, I would be on this show arguing against signing Juan Soto.
No, because as soon as you went over the $700 million threshold, it doesn't make any sense anymore.
I think at around 500. There's a point where this dries up in terms of how much offense he can possibly create to make up the value.
I mean, I wouldn't want to sign him for 500 or 600 either, but if the team signed him for that, you'd be like, okay, well, they went a little bit over, but they had to get the job done. $700 million.
It's crazy money.
Is like, why? For what? Yeah. What does he do that justifies $65 to $70+ million a year in the grand scheme of things? It's like he plays baseball for like 5 months out of the year, and then he works out and he gets $75 million. I mean, it's just like, it's wild to me where these contracts have gone in this entertainment world. It's amazing. But, I mean, it's just like, how does what he brings to the table offensively and defensively and like justify that kind of money?
Non-boss Adam in the chat is high on his own supply right now, as the Yankees showed how incapable they were of winning last year with 25-year-old Juan Soto, and he said, if Soto signed in New York, 5 or 6
is he
Yankees
saying
championships.
He's saying they will, or is he saying that's what they need to justify the contract? I mean, I'm not saying how much you win. I'm like, how much would you justify the contract? If you're asking for 5 or 6, dude, punt and use that $700 million to buy everybody else. There's no reason to give this guy this kind of money.
I'm sure the Yankees will be a better team if they don't sign Soto. I'm sure that they will spend their money.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you got to think about.
What
can you do with $700 million? What else
Annie from the
could
1984 show.
Right. What else could you, replenish your roster with for that amount of money? You can get a lot of pieces.
$700,000, we can get Eddie Lee Whitson, no problem. No, I agree. I mean, they could go sign Christian Walker, a pitcher. It's not even a major league minimum
But even
salary.
those teams, like the only other way,
is. It's literally what Jackson Merrill.
The only way you justify it is if he's the last piece to your super team that's locked in for a long time, and the only one that would make sense would be the Los Angeles Dodgers, which they've already given. They've already spent that money on Shohei Ohtani. I mean, even the Dodgers aren't interested in doing something like that.
Nor are their fans, according to ESPN's LA Dodgers reporter Blake Harris, who put up a Twitter poll asking Dodger fans a very simple question: would you like to have Juan Soto on the team? And over 8,000 votes later, 63% of Dodgers fans said no.
I don't think he really fits their culture up there.
You know what? I kind of agree.
He kind of does his own thing. He's always done his own thing. People have let him do his own thing.
Yeah.
The Dodgers don't let people do their own thing.
I know it's such a minor thing, and it's probably unfair of me, but the one thing from our 2023, everything fell apart, what went wrong, Dennis Lin, Ken Rosenthal story, or maybe it was AC, I forget which one of the two, but all the postmortems from that year, the one thing that has just never left my mind was Juan Soto in hitters meetings, wearing headphones, tuning out everybody.
I just don't care about that. Guys, he went to the Yankees.
I know.
The Yankees and Aaron Judge, if the Yankees could figure out how to work with him, and I don't think that he was that much of a, were there guys in the clubhouse that probably would consider him a me guy? Yes, but he was not the only one. At the same time, plenty of guys in the clubhouse will say, he was our best producer. So sometimes if you're that good, you are on your own track. You are and you're doing your own thing. Does it fit with the culture? All that needs to be talked about for sure. But they're not all in kumbaya. They're not all doing the same thing every day. They're doing whatever makes them best to go out there and be their best on the field. I do think in an environment where a manager adds meetings, a manager really is big on, more meetings, more communication, that could be something where maybe there's a tougher sell to players like that. They don't want to get there that early. They don't want to be part of those meetings. They already have their regimen and their formula, and there could cause a rift there. But, I mean, he seemed to do fine with the Yankees.
I know. I told you, it's unfair of me. I fully admit it's unfair of me. It's just the thing that kind of kicked in my mind, again, I was watching Hard Knocks yesterday, and Cleveland Browns #1 pick, NFL Defensive Player of the Year. They're linemen. They're linemen.
Garrett or Miles Garrett.
Miles Garrett.
Yeah, the guy from A&M.
Miles Garrett. And I'm in courtesy of the television. It's a television show.
Yeah.
I get it. But still, Miles Garrett is not in there with a headset on.
Yeah.
He's in there leading the meeting because he's the leader of his position group. And he's leading the meeting, and he's kind of like the senior in the room, so to speak, And I would expect that out of a $700 million
I agree,
player.
100%. That's not like, it's not like the fun kid on the side kind of attitude. I mean, look at the other guys that have those contracts, right? Who's a very meticulous player in Major League Baseball? Shohei Ohtani. Who else is a meticulous player in Major League Baseball? Mookie Betts.
Absolutely.
He's also on the Dodgers. Who else is a meticulous player? Freddie Freeman. Where is he at? He's on the Dodgers, right?
Yeah.
The only one that they had in New York, at least off the top of my head, Aaron Judge. Very meticulous. He's getting the biggest contract on the team. He is the leader of said team.
Right.
So like for a guy like Juan Soto, it's just I don't see him fitting. He fits in with the Yankees because he's been there. But like I could totally see this guy signing with the Mets for way too much money because their owner makes a ton of money. And then they're just kind of like around because he's the guy that's supposed to be the Myles Garrett, if you will, or the Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Aaron Judge, guy that takes over. I just don't think he's ever wanted to be that player or is that player.
I agree. We got to take a timeout, but I will just tell you, if it does come down this weekend, you can laugh at me Monday and tell me I'm wrong. I think it's the Mets, the Red Sox. That's who I think it is. I think it's going to be.
So too.
I think so too.
I think it's going to be a different team. I think Juan is going to be on. And again, listen, I'm not trying to diss the guy, but the facts are the facts. I think Juan Soto, generational offensive talent, one of the greatest players, blah blah blah, is going to be on his 4th team in 4 years. And I think that's really, really, really strange. And I understand he didn't trade himself to San Diego.
Right.
He didn't trade himself to New York. Right. I understand, but you really think about someone like that, and you think 4 teams in 4 years.
But they did offer him $440 million when he was
Washington.
with
And
Washington.
he turned him down.
Yeah,
he turned him. Well, wonder why? He's going to get 260 more than that, or more. Wild. Okay, let's take a time out.
Scott Boras is the real winner here.
right.
There's no question about it. When we come back, Media Melanie is going to join us for our Friday television streaming recommendations segment. She's got one for you. I've got one for you that I really think highly of. We'll bring you those recommendations. Ask us anything still to come, and then we'll hand things off to Gwen and Chris with a newly refurbished Ello coming on in, quarter-zoned up, ready to roll.
Are you going to ask him to tell you more about his shots?
Maybe.
Show you where he got
No,
them?
I'm not going to ask him to show me anything. No. 97.3 The Fan, back after this. This hour of 97.3 The Fan brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. And Buffalo Wild Wings is football. Hey, San Diego sports fans. Actually, I think it's a restaurant, but I digress. Head to your local Buffalo Wild Wings. Try their new maple chipotle sauce for rich maple sweetness and a mild smoky chipotle heat. Or for a bit of a kick, check out the new Cajun sauce for a rich blend of spicy and tangy pepper sauce. Stop by your San Diego B-Dubs or order now for takeout and delivery with Buffalo Wild Wings. Go. Oh, we've had a fun show today. It's 1:28. Let's get you ready for the weekend that will be. She calls us every Friday for our second segment at 1 o'clock. It's Media Melanie along for our Crossing Streams TV recommendation segment. How you been, Melanie?
I am well. Nice to speak with you, Annie and Craig. Happy Friday. And holidays are upon us. I am getting into holiday mode officially now.
Yeah, everything's, all the decks are up, or are you buying the presents now?
Buying presents, got all the decorations up. Still need to get the tree, but we're working on that this weekend. So, yay.
Beautiful. Cannot wait. So you're a real tree person then?
Yes, we do the real tree. I love the smell, and, it might not be as good for the environment, but there's something about that fresh Christmas tree smell. So, yes.
Growing up, we were always a real tree person as well.
Yeah.
And then when I got married, my wife was like, just buy a, metal Christmas tree. And since then, I, assemble it and then disassemble it and put it in the garage.
We have both.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the
Ooh.
fake tree in one room that we always put up, but same thing with my mom. She wants the real tree with the real tree smell, and it's fun. The family time together picking out the tree and everything like that. We
Right.
get
Yeah.
a real tree
That's what
too.
Melanie gets.
Yeah.
So we have the real tree
Yes,
and we have the
exactly.
fake tree, but we have both in different rooms downstairs. It's a compromise. There you go.
There
That's
used to
fun.
be a big divide
Love that.
between the real tree and the fake tree people.
And I was right there in the middle with I got both.
Right. Yeah.
I support both sides.
And
I'm
I was
Switzerland.
team real tree, and I got pulled to the other side, and
I'm team Swiss tree.
not out buying fake tree or buying real trees now. Just reassemble that bad boy Thanksgiving afternoon. With that, Melanie, each week we try each one of us to come up with a great streaming recommendation. You've just been killing it all year long. In fact, to the level of which, Melanie, it occurred to me the other day that I needed to be writing these down all year.
Yes, I have a note on my phone that I've been kind of tracking. I've been a little lax with it the last couple of weeks, but for the most part, I've got them all pretty well documented. Craig.
Okay, well, I might need you to send that to me at some
Will
point.
do. Yes,
At some
happy
point
to do
along
that.
the way. But please, let me know what you've got for our listeners this week.
Yes. So, Interior Chinatown. This one on Hulu really snuck up on my TV lineup thanks to a recommendation from my Padres pal and colleague Victor, and I'm so glad he put this on my radar. One episode in, after I watched it, I was completely hooked. And this is just such a gem on Hulu. It is witty, mind-bending type of satire that really flips traditional storytelling on its head in the best way possible with a pretty unique formula. It is inspired by Charles Yu's novel of the same name, and the series introduces us to Willis Wu, who is an Asian American actor stuck in the background of Hollywood's cliche machine. He essentially spends his days as a generic Asian man in a cheesy procedural, dreaming of one day leveling up to be the ultimate role of Kung Fu guy. Willis's journey unfolds in a very quirky mix of this showbiz satire and police procedural spoof wrapped up in a fun meta format that's giving Law and Order meets The Truman Show, but set in modern day LA. And like I said, the storytelling is as inventive as it gets. Willis's Chinatown life and his gig at this Golden Palace restaurant blends into this over-the-top police show within the show. Think of exaggerated cop tropes, shifting visual styles, all this tongue-in-cheek commentary on Hollywood's systematic stereotyping. It is fresh, funny, and it hits hard with some unexpected emotional depth along the way. And this cast is pure gold. It's got Ronnie Chang starring as Willis's best buddy, Fatty, and he absolutely steals the scenes. He's got these awesome one-liners. They all land well. He is just my favorite character of the show. But at its heart, it dives deep into Willis's quest to really take control of his own story and his own narrative while spotlighting these themes of identity, ambition, and really fighting against being boxed in by others' expectations. And there are only 10 bite-sized 30-minute episodes in the first season, and Interior Chinatown is really perfect for binging, or like me, I'm kind of savoring it if you want to stretch it out a little bit. And whether you've ever felt like a background character in your own story or you just like clever genre-bending TV, this is just such a standout. And again, it's on Hulu, so highly recommend it. It's a good one to watch even with your family during the holidays. So check it out.
Interior Chinatown. Now, this sounds right up my alley, and I'm looking forward to giving it a look-see, and hopefully I can click in here this weekend, Melanie. And you said on Hulu, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, terrific. So along the similar lines of something that's feel good, I'm going to be offering a show that I will tell you right now, whenever it is, a couple weeks or whenever, that we talk about our top 10 shows for the year, Melanie. This one is going to be in there. And it comes from the brilliant mind of Michael Schur. Michael Schur, if you remember, was one of the lead writers on The Office, went on to be the creator of Parks and Recreation, the creator of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and The Good Place, which is one of the absolute best sitcoms of the last few years. He is back with an 8-episode Netflix comedy called A Man on the Inside. This stars Ted Danson, and it is delightful. It's one of my favorite words that I get to attach to a television show. Delightful. And I mean it in the literal sense, that you will be delighted while you watch. You will enjoy it. You will have that perk up feeling. And it also is a show that approaches some subject matter that, depending on where you are in your stage of life, is going to be near and dear to your heart. So in this show, Ted Danson plays Charles Neuendijk, who is a former professor at Cal State East Bay. He was a Bay Area resident. He's in his late 70s, just like Ted Danson is. And his wife has recently passed away. So he's living alone in his, pretty house, and he sees his daughter sometimes, but he's basically a guy with nothing to do. He's spending all of his time in, like, the first episode clipping out newspaper articles and sending them to his daughter in Sacramento, and she's got a shoebox full of useless stuff, So he's been given a task. Hey, get a hobby, man. Like, find something to do that'll occupy yourself. Well, he comes across in the newspaper an ad that has been placed because simultaneously a PI, a private investigator, has portrayed by Lila Rich Creek, Julie, private investigator in San Francisco, has been offered a case because a woman in an elderly care facility believes that her extremely expensive necklace has been stolen by somebody on staff or somebody within the facility. So Ted's character is recruited to become a spy inside the nursing home, to check into the nursing home as presumably, the newest resident, but actually he's there to suss out who stole the necklace and to try and find the bad guy. And Ted Danson's character, who, is kind of, he's rambling a little bit. He's very well written as somebody at that stage of age. He's kind of like just lost in nostalgia. He's always like, oh, you remember the thing that we did? And like, he really needs something to do. So he dives into this, and hilarity, of course, ensues. This show has a lot of elder character actors that are doing just an incredible job at playing people who live at the nursing home. It's very funny, and it also touches on the subjects of aging. What happens when your partner dies? His partner in the show, his wife who passed away, wound up having Alzheimer's. Talking about that, about loneliness, about finding friends at a stage in your life where a lot of people shut it down and go solo. All of those things are explored. I also personally find it hilarious. His daughter on the show has 3 teenage boys. And as the father of a teenage boy, the portrayal is 100% spot on, like 10 of 10 no notes for the kid laying on his couch with the iPad that's not paying attention to anything that's being said. Like, it absolutely hit home for me. There's only 8 episodes of A Man on the Inside. They're half-hour episodes. I'm telling you, this is a show you're going to love. It's going to bring you great warm feelings. You're going to laugh. I found it to be extremely funny. I'm on episode 6 of 8 right now. And of course, it's going to take the typical turns of here's a suspect. No, that guy's not it. Here's somebody. Maybe she's it. No, she's not it. You know, going through all of that, I'm sure we'll get to a pleasant resolution on episode 8. But I 100% recommend this, and I'm telling you, it will make my top 10. A Man on the Inside. Michael Schur never misses. He never misses, and he did not miss here.
Wow, that sounds great. And Craig, I, like you, really like Ted Danson, and The Good Place was such a great show. And this one's on my radar too, so can't wait to watch it. Thanks for highlighting it.
All right, Interior Chinatown on Hulu and A Man on the Inside on Netflix. 2 great recommendations for you to take into the weekend. Melanie, where can people follow your content all week long?
You can follow me at Media Melanie on the socials and subscribe to my YouTube channel at MediaMelanieTV.com.
Appreciate you so much. Can't wait to talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good weekend, everyone.
You too.
Media Melanie.
Thank you.
Both very good
Bye.
and very interesting recommendations.
I'm telling you, you'll like this one. I even was saying to my wife, like, you'd really enjoy this show.
Yeah.
You know, and, the Ted Danson character reminds me of where my dad is, kind of. You know, he's in his early 80s instead of late 70s, but in that similar place, lost his wife within a year and trying to find yourself a little bit, So I understand that on a personal level, the show is hitting me on a couple of spots that are in my strike zone. That might not be in the strike zone of some folks, a 32-year-old out there in the audience who maybe, is in a completely different life circumstance. But I think it's got something for everybody, and it's just such a sweet, funny, light, I use it again, but delightful kind of show. So check it out. Both of them, Interior Chinatown and A Man on the Inside. Okay, let's take our last break. It's 1:40. Got to open the lines.
I think we have
We do have a voice message for Ask Us Anything from Juan.
All right.
great.
Hey. So we've got already one, but one from Juan. We've got one, but
Juan?
Is it Juan Soto?
Yeah, he's asking where you should sign.
Juan
Hey,
Soto,
guys,
you leave us a voice message?
Juan in the Dominican. Just wondering, what do you think?
That's right.
You guys got any ideas? I heard you had a choice for me last segment. What is it?
That's right.
Lines are open now. We jingled the bingle, and now it's happened. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Give us a call. You got 10 minutes to call the show. And if you do, we're going to screen you up. We're just going to put you on hold, and then we're going to put you on the air. And all we ask is that you have a question ready to ask the audience. Come correct with a question, and we look forward to talking to you on Ask Us Anything next on Annie and Elsten on the Fan. Welcome back, everybody. 1:46 is the time. Final segment of the week. Start with a note of appreciation. Very thankful for everyone who's been part of the last 20 hours of broadcast with us. We show up every day with the goal of putting together a good show for you, being entertaining, giving you the information you need, and making your day a little bit easier. We appreciate everyone who's given us the chance to do this job. We take it seriously. And for everybody who supports us out there, our regulars in the audience, the folks who check in while they're driving, the folks in the YouTube chat, the callers, appreciate you all. Thank you so much for being here.
I second that. Absolutely appreciate you. Couldn't do this job without you.
Literally. I mean, there would be no point.
You're the backbone.
Like, guys, we're going to quit doing radio. There's no humans. There's just no need anymore. No, we need the audience, and we appreciate the audience. And we've got a voice message to get to on Ask Us Anything. Somebody did the thing, Braden.
Yes, one of our usual callers for Ask Us Anything did a voice message. Juan in Vista. Here's Juan in Vista's voice message about the Heisman Trophy.
Hey, Annie. Hey, Craig. Hey, Braden.
Juan.
Hey, Juan.
It's Juan from Vista. Figured I'd use the voice message feature today so Braden can put his training to use.
Nice.
And my question for you guys today is, given that there's a big debate about who should win the Heisman Trophy, Ashton Genty or Travis Hunter, just wanted to know where you guys stand on that debate and who you think should win ultimately.
Great
I
question.
hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you, Juan. You too, buddy.
See how easy that was?
That was great.
Voice
Great
message.
job. Great
Yes.
example of that,
Great
Juan.
example.
I just
Juan.
press the
Yes.
button on the Odyssey app, and you can do exactly that. It sounded so clear, too. Really well done. I would vote for Genty. Maybe that's old school on me, but that's what I would do.
I would do the same.
Yeah.
Genty's the best at his position. He's setting records for his deal. So I'd go with Genty as well. Travis
agree.
Hunter, I think being able to play both ways at a D1 Power 5 school, Power 4 school is very, very impressive. But he's not the best DB. He's not the best receiver. So he's just kind of middle in both spots. I know they keep throwing out how many snaps he takes. That's not really a stat. But I think the fact that Genty's the best at his position, gives that look. But I don't mind a defensive guy winning it. It's been a long time since a defensive guy won the Heisman Trophy, and I'm just glad we're not debating about 3 different quarterbacks right now.
Same here.
Great call. Great call. Yeah. Well, it's the USC quarterback, but what if it's the Alabama
Right,
quarterback?
right.
What about Michigan? No, that's a good call. Bumper. Let's go bump, bump, bump. Eight 833-288-0973 is our phone number. If you wanted to call, like literally right now, as you heard me say that, you could. 833-288-0973. Here's Martin in Santee. Hey, Martin. Hope you have a great weekend coming up. How are you?
Doing well, and thank you for taking my call. Great show as always. This one's for Braden. Braden, I know last week after the last game of your season, so great season, sorry for the loss.
That's all right.
That you were relieved basically to kind of have more time to yourself. I'm just curious, how quickly does the team, the kids, kind of get back into sort of a normal high school groove, kind of get the loss behind them and just kind of be teenagers again?
That's a very
Good
difficult question. It depends if they're a senior or not. The seniors, obviously have different things. Also depends if they play in other sports or not. A lot of them play other sports in the wintertime. I know a lot of them play rugby. I know a lot of them are lacrosse players in the spring. So it just kind of flips back into catching up into the other sports as well. For me, like in my perspective, just because I played a spring sport, not a winter sport, it was kind of weird for like the last couple of weeks leading up to Christmas break, and then you flip over to the new year. And again, this is only as a senior because they start lifting in January. I mean, all the underclassmen will be out there lifting again every morning starting in January. So it's really just the seniors that go back to everyday high school life, and it's a weird transition. I remember the entire second semester was just odd for me. Leaving school at 2:00 and being home at like 2:30 was definitely out of the ordinary, especially since a lot of these kids have been playing after school sports their entire lives, and now they don't. Now you don't play after school sports anymore.
Right. Great question, Martin. Thanks for
Great
calling in,
Yeah,
man.
that was a good question.
Have a great
Thanks.
weekend. Appreciate
Great show.
Thank you.
you. Here's Ricardo to wrap things up. Hello, Ricardo. Ask us anything.
Hey, Craig and Annie, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. So I have a Padres-related question, but it's not about who you think they're going to sign. I think if you think the scoreboard is way too busy with the La Jolla Shores beach vibe and the skateboard and the fire pit, I just think it's too much.
I think it's cool. That's awesome. I was
I
trying
did
to
not
find ways
think you
for
were going to ask that.
I was
so-
trying to find ways for Cathedral to do that on their video board. I think it's sweet.
You know,
It's a lot going on, but
It is a little busy with the skateboard. I got to agree.
it's cool though. I
The
mean,
fire pit's all right, though. I don't mind the
yeah,
fire
it
pit.
has cool San Diego elements to it for sure.
Beach
I
flare.
think they're always trying to experiment with it too, like try to figure out what looks the best. But if anyone's listening, they can ask themselves in a meeting, right? If it's too busy. Honestly, to me, and I don't watch it like that from a seat. I'm always looking at the box score on my computer or the
Annie's
following.
locked in.
I'm following along with the game. Yeah, so I don't. I'm probably not the best person to answer that question. But a very interesting question. Thank you for that.
No, I like it, Ricardo. I mean, yeah. Is it a little busy?
It's entertainment. It's in the entertainment.
fine.
I mean, every video
It's fine.
board you go see is
Right.
like that now, like on the road. It's for the fans, and not the players aren't paying too much attention to that anyway. They're like Andy. They're locked in.
Let's just see what Jesse has to ask. Hi, Jesse. We're just popping you right in. Ask us anything to wrap up the show.
Hey, guys. Yeah, great. Hey, help me understand how an 0-10 team can go to CIF.
Hey.
Sure thing, Jesse. I got the right guy for you here for 30
Good
seconds.
question.
Well,
Jesse.
according to the rules of CIF San Diego, 80% of high schools in San Diego have to make the postseason, and there were better than 15 other schools that didn't
Including
make it.
Valhalla.
Including
Unfortunately,
Valhalla. That's
quite
how it happens.
unfortunately for Valhalla.
In San Diego, that's part of the Green Book. If you want it changed, they have to go through the Green Book and change it. It's only 70-something%, I think, in the Green Book, but 80% ended up making the playoffs, and it's a lot of monetary reasons for that, for Gates. It helps fund CIF and all of their sports that they have to control, and again, CIF just implodes and applies the rules that they have in front of them, and that's part of the rules. And they won, though, so you can't bitch about them being in the playoffs. They went 4-0 in the playoffs. You had a chance to beat them, and now they're going to go against
literally.
1-9 St. Pius X, St. Matthias from the southern section. So
Great
hopefully
questions
Saints gets
today.
the job done.
That was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. And a fun week as well. I hope you guys have a great weekend.
You too.
You
I hope
too.
everyone listening has a great
That's
weekend.
right.
For Annie and Braden, I'm Craig. Stay tuned. It's the newly refurbished Ello and Scraby next.
Bye.